Good morning, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for showing up for our special meeting. Today is July 30th, 2024. This is the Lake County Board of Supervisors. We will commence this meeting with a moment of silence. I'm sure you are all aware of the park fire. There is now up above 370,000 acres that is burned. There is about approximately 150 buildings. About 120 of them, I believe, are homes that have been not just damaged, but burned down and more damaged. We all know this reality too well, and I want to make sure that we stand together with everybody that endures this type of trauma, this type of tragedy. Unfortunately, some people in the park fire endured some of the same trauma that our community members endured from having their house lost in the Valley Fire and then having their house lost in the Clayton Fire. There are some people who lost their home in the Paradise Fire and have also lost their house in the Park Fire. It is so unfortunate that the threat continues. We need to work together as a community. I appreciate the work that has been done, but today I'd like to make sure we hold all of those that are evacuated, not just for the Park Fire, but around the state. And also, I believe there were a couple injuries to some first responders, and if we can hold all of those individuals within our thoughts and prayers today. Supervisor Pyska, would you please lead us in the pledge? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And before we go on, I just want to at least try to set the tone a little bit. One of the reasons that I just gave this moment of silence is because we understand the situation. And when we have fires, we help neighbors. Neighbors helping neighbors. We don't ask questions. We see the need. We jump up and help. I've seen people give the skin off their back when they have no skin left to provide. It is amazing what we see when we are involved in a tragedy. And I hope today that we remember that we are all neighbors. We may disagree on things, but when we walk away, there will be a time where we're going to need each other again. And so please be respectful, please be mindful, and let's make sure to talk to the board and not talk about one another. There is a specific topic to discuss today. I know it is very passionate on all sides. I just want to remind each other that in the long run, we're still in the same community and we still need to work together to make our communities great. We are going to open this up with a public input on anything not on the agenda today. I'm assuming most of you are here for the item on the agenda, but if there's any public input for anything not on the agenda, please come on up to the microphone. I see no hands in the Zoom room and no one getting up in the chamber. So we are going to move on to item 4.2, our 9:01 a.m. Consideration of an advisory election to ascertain voter opinion of the proposed name change from Town of Kelseyville to Konocti, and B, consider two proposed resolutions and provide direction to staff. And I'm going to pass this over to Supervisor Pyska.
Thank you all for coming on this special meeting date. I'm sure everybody had other plans, but this is a really important topic that we've all been hearing about for a long, long time. So I want to thank everyone for coming here today. I know we have members from the Citizens for Healing. We have members from Save the Name of Kelseyville. We have tribal leadership in the room. And we have a lot of concerned citizens. So again, I really thank you all today for being here and being part of this discussion. I have spent a long, long time really researching the process, reviewing, trying to figure out as much as I could so that I could bring options to this board today, and that's what I'm doing. So last October, the Board on Geographic Names received an application from the Citizens for Healing to change the name of the town of Kelseyville to Konocti. The Board on Geographic Names, we'll just call them the BGN today, reached out to our board for a recommendation. And we have, as a board, have not had this conversation. We have not been able to talk to each other. The Brown Act, we can only talk to one other supervisor about this. So early on in the process, before we really started researching, I had a lot of conversations with Vice Chair Crandall. And then since last winter, I've been working on this with Chair Sabatier. So the options when you receive an application like this are no response, do nothing. Two, provide a response, which is yes, no, or neutral. And I've stated publicly many times that my constituency is very divided over this. This is very complicated and this is complex. And I won't give a recommendation because I have to represent all of the people of District 5, and I've made the commitment to support the community through this process. So I'm bringing these options to the board to hear and discuss, to hear from the public to weigh in. I'm not coming with any recommendations. I'm just bringing all this work to all of you so that we can work through this. We have a rare opportunity to have a productive conversation today. And so that's what we're doing. So part A is asking if we would like to go forward with an advisory measure. And this is a way for us to really understand what the people want. It is non-binding, but we have the ability to hold this or put this ballot measure on the November ballot. And then we have the ability to provide the results to the Board on Geographic Names as our recommendation. So there's going to be a lot of conversation today around that. The second part of this is who gets to vote. The election code says that the county or any portion thereof. So we have that option. We can do the whole county or a portion thereof. And I've heard loud and clear for many, many years, even before this application was brought about from folks in Kelseyville, that they wanted, if backing up for a minute, before we realized the BGN route was the official federal route to change a name, it was thought that it would go to a vote of the people. And so if this was not in the hands of the BGN, and this was under local control, the Citizens for Healing would have, and I believe they were prepared to do this, collected signatures, paid the fees, and put this on the ballot as a binding measure. But our past county council did thorough research and realized that the BGN is the correct federal process, and that's not what we're arguing here today. So these are the options. We can do the advisory measure, yes or no. We have the option to talk about the resolutions which were provided in the agenda package. We could choose one of those and agree on that today. And then obviously there's a lot of other questions that are going to come up from probably my colleagues and the public. And we can kind of work through those as they come.
Okay. Just to be clear, we are taking up item A and B together. So when we do open up public comment, please comment on both of those. We're not going to reopen up for item B later on. It's all in one. I believe that was the intent here. And please do your best to stay on topic. I know, again, there's a lot of passion on this. This is very specific of do you want an advisory ballot and which resolution would you support if you did. I'm going to open it up for any comments from board members before we open it up for public input. And so I'm going to provide my input right now because I've been in the public before where it's a little frustrating to not know where board members are and then not being able to speak to it after the fact. So I think that this is going to cost money. I'm not sure that this is the best use of tax dollars to do. This is not going to get a consensus of the entire people. We know that our percentage of people that are registered to vote that actually go out and vote is not a true representation of the entirety of the community. I know that we've received numerous letters, postcards, emails regarding this topic. And my belief is we wouldn't really see much of a different amount of material than what we would receive from this. I'm concerned about the two resolutions. Number one, if it's the whole county, it's even more expensive. And we don't have an actual price point of what this could look like, so I'm not going to make any assumptions to that, but it's additional material that needs to be printed that's going to be submitted through the mail in order for all registered voters to take action and vote. But if it's solely the Konocti Unified School District, it adds areas. I'm so sorry. I'm from District 2, where Konocti Unified School District, so I apologize. Where Kelseyville Unified School District is going to be used as the boundaries, that covers places that are way outside of Kelseyville, and in my mind, I'm thinking, why are those places okay for them to vote in this, but yet other places outside of that are not okay? So you'd have the Riviera, who are not Kelseyville, you'd have Cobb areas that are not. Well, wait. This is not a dialogue right now, so please, you'll get your turn to speak. No. The community growth boundary of Kelseyville is in one specific area. The zip code is a different area. That is the way that I am seeing it, and I am giving you my opinion and my statement, and I am not going to interrupt you when you give yours. So please give me the same respect. I am concerned on how this is going to be seen, that some people got to vote on it that are outside of the boundaries of the community growth boundary of what is named Kelseyville, versus other people that will be singled out as not being able to vote. So my opinion is it has to be countywide, and the cost of countywide is just way too expensive. And even the Kelseyville Unified School District is a cost that I just don't think should be where we put our tax dollars. So that is my personal opinion on the matter, and I will open it up to see if anyone else wishes to speak. And if there's no pens, Supervisor Green?
Appreciate those concerns. I don't think in the end cost is going to be the overriding factor here. I can tell you that I do look forward to today's discussion. I was surprised by the form of the agenda item, and the only thing that we're talking about here is whether called an advisory election, and if so, who gets to vote. The alternative I was waiting for was for this board to do what BGN asked us to and give them this board's opinion on what should be done with the name change petition. It is within the jurisdiction of this board, in the absence of any established town boundaries for Kelseyville. It's on us. It's our right and our responsibility to respond to BGN. You know, I don't know what we're going to learn from the election that we don't already know. There's a split of opinion on this. You know, we may learn at 60-40, 70-30, but at the end of the day, that's not going to solve the equity question and what the right thing to do is. Some people in the comments have phrased it as more of a moral question than a geopolitical one. But to the extent we are stuck with talking about the election, let me just double down on that. By skipping right ahead to the election and by essentially robbing this board of its opportunity to weigh in, one practical effect, whether people want to lay claim to it or not, is that one of the most diverse boards in Lake County history, including 2 duly elected representatives who have Native American ancestry, you're asking us to mute their voices and elevating yourselves over their wisdom. And I think that's unfortunate for many, many reasons. I think this board is fully capable, intelligent, thoughtful, and compassionate enough to listen to all your concerns today and still make a recommendation to BGN. So my initial take is none of these options appeal to me, and I'd love to see another agenda item come back at a later date that would allow a BGN response that we can argue about the wording on that. But to the extent we are limited to talking about an election today and the 2 options, in specific, the KUSD district option, which I know some of the advocates here are going to strongly advocate for. I'm just as strongly going to advocate against it, not because of the merits of what you're talking about, but because it would be an inherently unfair election, because a majority of the voters in Kelseyville Unified School District live outside territories that are traditionally identified as Kelseyville. So depending on how the discussion goes today, if you really want to lock in on the KUSD option, I am going to ask for latitude from the chair to present some materials illustrating why that would be an entirely inappropriate selection of voting area for a regional election. And I also have prepared some analysis of smaller footprints that are closer to the community growth boundary, or also what's called a census designated place in the U.S. Census. But the more you shrink the footprint, ironically, the less diverse the vote gets. So I want to hear about that tug of war. If you really think the election needs to be limited to only Kelseyville residents, but there is no definition of what the town of Kelseyville is, somewhere between the CGB and the 10,000 square miles of the KUSD district, including Buckingham and Clear Lake Riviera, who gets to vote? And I don't think that is a good question to tackle, because I don't think there are any good answers. So if there is going to be an election at all, I'm going to express my preferred alternative for countywide, if that's the way it has to be. I'm just stating that right now. If you have questions about why I think KUSD is fatally flawed, again, I have maps, I have illustrations, I have voter registration figures to explain that, but I don't want to burden your input right now. I just want to see where the discussion goes. So if we do end up leaning into the KUSD option, I would ask for some time to respond to that. Thank you.
Okay. And if there's nothing further from the board, then let's go ahead and please.
Well, I want to bring a few things up that both of you raised. And again, I am only bringing options here, but I have thought about this for a long time, how we work through this. And Maria Valdez from Elections is on and can speak to the cost. She and I did speak a lot about this, and I'm not going to speak for her, so I'll let her talk about what that cost is, because I think that's an important part of the conversation. As far as the boundaries go, there's no perfect way to do this. And the town of Kelseyville doesn't have borders. It is an unincorporated area. It's a unincorporated populated geographic area, which is why it's under the BGN's authority. There are a lot of folks that live in the Kelseyville zip code that use it as their address. And although this decision does not impact the zip code or anyone's address, that is a separate process. And we have no way of knowing if that process will be initiated from a decision by the BGN. There was some email exchanges that said that there are members from the Postal Service Board on the BGN, so we just don't know. So I'm letting everyone know that came across in emails, and I'm being transparent in every way possible about working through this. So in order to put this on the November ballot, we need a defined zoning or voting district, and it was not possible to put together the zip code, Kelseyville zip code area. That would take many months to develop that voting district. So I looked at what we did have. And the school district boundary is, again, not a perfect option, but it is an option that we can move forward with. The fire district boundary is a little bit bigger and stretches more into the Lakeport area, so that's not a perfect option either. Maria can speak to the cost, but the cost is very low because we already have a countywide election happening in November. So if we were to push this off to another date and develop a special district for voting, and Maria again could speak on that, the cost of doing a countywide election could be $250,000 to $300,000, which we do not have budgeted for, but it would fall on a scheduled date in the future. The next countywide election would be the presidential not the presidential primary. The next primary election, which would be countywide, would be in June of 2026. So if we were to move forward with a ballot measure, I think sooner the better. We've all been through a lot. The cost is significantly less than waiting. So I just want to bring those issues up.
Okay, you mentioned cost, and our Registrar of Voters, Maria Valadez, wondering if Maria wishes to speak on this.
Good morning, Maria Valadez, Registrar of Voters. So I did provide Supervisor Pyska with those costs. In March of 2024, the election cost for a countywide election was $300,000. And only one small district joined that election. So their share of cost was approximately around, I want to say $30,000, because I don't have that number in front of me. In November of 2022, there was 11 districts that also consolidated with the November election, and that cost was $322,000 for a countywide election, including those 11 districts, with their shares. So a special election for countywide could cost anywhere from, and I said 150,000 to 250,000, depending on, I didn't include labor because we're already working, but we would have to hire extra help employees and then probably work on defining a specific district if that's what the board so chose to do. So there is an election already. It could cost anywhere, I can't give you an exact amount because I don't know what that cost is going to be, but a countywide election is already there. So it wouldn't cost a significant amount. And I would want to say it wouldn't cost more than $50,000, I wouldn't think, just to add it for countywide. As far as a single district, Kelseyville is already having a district election, the school district. So we would just be adding to that district boundaries, the additional cost. Again, if we have to define more districts or more precincts, that could cost more because now we're creating a smaller or, portion and a different ballot type. So that's how our office, conducts election is by ballot types, is what's on the ballot and how many various ballot types do we have to create. The smaller the order, the higher the cost. So I just wanted to provide that information to you.
Thank you very much. So I've done a quick head count of what I see in the Zoom room, which only has been increasing, and what we have in the chamber. Vice Chair Crandall.
Well, since I've been put on the spot, I'm going to state that I would like to hear input from everybody first before determining the best route. Nothing's worse than making statements when you feel you already know how the vote's going to be or whatever the case may be. So I would like to hear from all of you before I decide.
Thank you very much. So with about 70, give or take, in the chamber and 50, that's about 120 people. Not everybody is going to speak, but possibly. If everybody got their 3 minutes, that's approximately 360, and that's looking at about 6 hours worth of potential public comment. So I would like to limit public comment to 2 minutes to try and make it a little bit more efficient so that we can come back to deliberate and to eventually make a decision today. And at this point, I would appreciate no repeats so that we can stay within that time frame. When we hit the 2 minutes, I am going to ask you to finish your comment. I don't want to cut people off, but please do so and try your best to be as brief as possible once the 2 minutes are over so that we can try to stay within that time frame. Supervisor Simon.
Yeah, appreciate it. Good morning, everybody, and everybody on Zoom. Yeah, very delicate conversation we're going to have today. It's been kind of building up to this point, I think. I'm always straight up and just right to the point. If we're going to do anything today, it would have to be countywide. I want the opportunity for the indigenous people that have been here forever to see where we stand in this county. Every vote that we've taken, I think I know the outcome already, but I want it on the record. I want it on the record. I walked through these halls, I've heard how racist this community is, and I've seen and tried to work together and bring it together. I want to see if we've learned anything in the past 400 years here in this country, in this county, how we move forward. I want it on the record. And I appreciate the conversation. We haven't had a chance to talk about this. You know how passionate I am about being a tribal leader, the first one in this county's history. When I took that job on this board, I did it for everybody, not to silence one voice and to give an opportunity. So with this vote, if that's where this board's going to go, I want it countywide. I want it on record where this county stands with the indigenous people that lived here and have been here before it was created. This is an opportunity for me to really understand what kind of community I walk in and what kind of people we have here. I think we're moving in the right direction, but this vote would solidify my thoughts on that. You know, it was the 8 years I committed as a tribal person to work hard to be elected to this board, and believe me, it wasn't easy. First thing I had to challenge was whether or not I could even serve as a tribal person in this county. That was the first thing I was hit with when I ran for election. You know, and that was a serious question. I couldn't believe it was asked, but I am a goddamn American citizen. I have an opportunity to work through this opportunity to be where I'm sitting, and I want this community really to take this vote countywide. So I understand the county that I live in, and I'll have to keep working if it doesn't pass. And if it does pass that the name is changed, then we are going in the right direction. So that's my thoughts. Countywide is what I'll be voting for today. I'd like to hear everybody's, opinion. I got friends in here that we differ on things, at least on this issue, but I do consider them friends. You know, if politics are going to divide you like this country does, makes no goddamn sense to me, because we got to live together all the time. We take care of each other's children. We coach, we volunteer, we do these things, and we come together in disaster. That's why I still have hope, because I've seen us all stand in the same room when our houses have burned and things are going on. So that's where I am today, and I do appreciate your comments. I do appreciate your comments about silencing a voice, because I imagine it's scary for some folks to have two tribal representatives on here when you're having that discussion. But I don't think I've ever done anything as I've sat up here to just not think about what I was doing when I was taking a vote. Went through a world pandemic. We didn't agree upon it, but the thought was to try and save lives during those decisions. So that's where I come from. Mook Simon's not a bullshitter. I'm not a politician. I didn't run again. I served my time, which I thought after the devastating fires we had, and I hope for the best. And I'll continue to do that as a leader until I'm not here, and I'll continue that on my tribal leadership in this county. Yeah, we were here before the county was created, but everything we do as tribal leadership, it's to make our county better. Most of our employees are non-tribal, both in the government side and our businesses. So we do what we think is right, and we've done that since the day, I would say, since its inception, since you folks started joining our beautiful land here and us working together. So thanks for the time today, and I hope we move in the right direction. But those are my thoughts. That's it. That's what I'll come here for today. And I hope everybody's respectful about it. I have no ill will against anybody who wants to keep the name. I understand where you're coming from. I don't agree with it. I do not agree with it. But give you the opportunity to speak and be who you are. That's what I've always advocated for. And so it's got to be countywide. I want it on there. I will say it now. I think I know what the outcome will be if it's countywide, but I want it in a vote, and I want it stated where this county stands with its indigenous people. So that's it. That's what I have to say today. Thank you for your time. Whether you like it or not, that's what it is. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. So, just to let you know, at about 11 o'clock, we'll take a break just for coffee, for bio break, and then at around maybe 12:30, 1 p.m., we'll take a lunch break. I just want you guys to understand if I cut off public comment, it's not because of you personally. I want to try to stay within a time frame, and then we will continue and come back where we left off.
Mr. Chair, to add, a lot of statements have come in, so if you've made those statements and they're on the record in Granicus, that would help also with when you come to the microphone to add to that rather than to reiterate that, if that makes sense. So just letting you know that would help. But either way, it's your time. Do as you wish.
Thank you very much. And so I'm going to try to alternate between the chamber and the Zoom room. I don't want to have the Zoom chamber wait forever for them to speak. So let's go ahead and start in the chamber. I know some of you have been here since 8 o'clock in the morning. So please make a line on the left-hand side, your right-hand side, so that we can have an efficient way of moving forward. Please. And Johanna, if we could do 2 minutes.
This was going to take longer, but I'll try to cut it short. My name is Rachel White. I'm in Kelseyville representing the Save Kelseyville Committee as committee chair. Thank you for holding this meeting and Supervisor Pyska for sponsoring this item. I keep returning to something Supervisor Simon mentioned during your June 18th meeting. He said the power of the community is more important than elected officials or anyone else. I believe this to be true. He went on to say, these are the folks living together, just trying to survive and understand who their community, who their tribe, and who their village is. Well, the community of Kelseyville is my village, and the residents of Kelseyville are my tribe. The community of Kelseyville was blindsided by the filing of an application to the BGN to change the name of Kelseyville to Konocti. The action has been misguided, an attempt to find a solution to an ill-defined problem. Under the guise of healing, the proposed name change has proven to be inflammatory and deeply divisive, creating new tensions and reopening old wounds. Opposing the name change does not mean we do not acknowledge the pain associated with the events that transpired on this land before our time. We cannot pretend to know another individual's experience, but we can aim to understand one another better through open dialogue. It will not be until this discussion of the proposed name change ends that we can meet in the middle and explore this pain and begin to understand what true healing entails. I was fortunate to attend the most recent Bloody Island sunrise ceremony. Forgiveness was the overarching theme that morning. Forgiveness. The name change proposal is not about healing or forgiveness. It is the sanctimonious act of forcefully removing the name of our home, hurting us to palliate the hurt of another. Our town has been officially designated Kelseyville since 1882, over 140 years. There are more than 10,000 residents of Kelseyville. Kelseyville does include Buckingham and the Riviera. Every resident, property owner, business owner will need to amend property titles, business or trade licenses, rental agreements, vehicle registration, wills and trusts, bank accounts, insurance, and billing agreements. And any other legal document that identifies Kelseyville. The Save Kelseyville Committee.
I need you to finish your comment.
I understand.
Everybody's getting 2 minutes, and I'd like to know what your thoughts are A and B before you finish, because you have not hit that.
The Save Kelseyville Committee recommends that the advisory vote be included on the November 5th, 2024 ballot for the citizens of Kelseyville as defined by the Kelseyville Unified School District boundaries. And as committee chair, I've been given authority to speak on behalf of a number of individuals in this room. Out of respect for your time, I would like those individuals to stand and raise their hands. And while everyone is prepared to speak,
Ma'am, you're way past your 2 minutes.
yeah, I understand. I'm just saying, if we can bypass many people's public comments as they would just be reiterating what I've said.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
How we doing? My name is Joseph Weber. I'm a Big Valley Tribal member and a vet. I come to you on behalf of, once again, I'd like to see countywide, because I'd like to see what this county has to say about natives. I just want to do a comparison and let everybody know how we feel a little left out. A quick comparison is when I mention Native or African Americans, most people think of slavery, genocide and all that. If I mention Jewish people, once again, we think Hitler, Nazi, slaverism. But if I mention the Native community, most people think alcoholism, casinos, broke down cars. I'm just wondering, where is our lost children, our stolen stuff? If you had a town named Hitlerville, it wouldn't tolerate now. And there's no real difference between Hitlerville and Kelseyville, comparing to the genocide that has happened to those people. If I was a Jewish person walking around in Hitlerville, it would hurt, as I said, and traumatic, historic trauma has dealt to our people for a long amount of time. And this name is just part of that trauma that carries on, especially to our young people. It's time to come together as a community and show the younger people what change is about, like Germany has done, how they teach and have museums on this. There's a place for Kelsey and an educational side, so this never happens again. Once again, I appreciate your guys' time.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can I have his 10 seconds? My name is Clovis Lewis, and I'm a Unitarian minister here in Lake County. Yesterday, I interrogated an online chat GPT AI program as an experiment. I wanted to see if this program, trained by human beings to reflect our core values, could help me explain and put into a larger human value context the struggle to rename Kelseyville. So I asked the AI system this prompt: provide me with a list of towns or cities in the world named after founders of those locations who committed genocide. And it came back with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3 of them were in the Republic of Congo. 2 were in Rwanda, 1 was in Bolivia, and the other one is in Namibia. And it also said, it is important to note the names of these places often reflect the perspectives of the perpetrators or colonial powers rather than honoring the victims or recognizing the historical injustices. So then I asked, who is Kelseyville named after and why? It wasn't a very pretty response. Then I asked, why isn't Kelseyville attached to this list? And it said, oh, you're absolutely right. I apologize for the oversight. Kelseyville should indeed be included in the list. It's a stark example of a place named after a person with a horrific history of violence. Thank you for pointing this out to me. It's important to accurately represent history. Ultimately, the decision to change a place name should involve, as we are doing now, meaningful consultation. But before I conclude, I would like us to consider the moral implications of what we're looking at and how the rest of the world responds.
And please finish your comment.
I'm just finishing. How does the rest of the world see us? How does the rest of the world, even a machine intelligence, see the fact that we are not renaming Kelseyville and addressing a moral issue? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the comments, and I know that there is no way to extrapolate the saying yes or no in favor of name change or no name change, but I want to make sure that we also hear from you about what's being asked today, which is the ballot measure. Is it a yes that you want to see it on there? And what version of the resolution? I want to make sure that we hear that from you as well. I know we can't separate them.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It should be voted for by the whole county.
Thank you. Next, please.
Hello, my name is Esther Wallace. I am also a Unitarian Universalist minister and a regular service leader of the UU community of Lake County, which meets in downtown Kelseyville. I live in Kelseyville. I came to Lake County about 2 years ago for the first time with my spouse, and within 3 days of staying here, we knew we wanted to move here and make home here. And it was also in those first 3 days that I learned of the history of the name Kelseyville when I looked it up on Wikipedia. And I was sad, disgusted. I was so happy when we moved here and I learned that there was this initiative, this conversation about renaming and moving forward. I think too often we speak about Indigenous peoples and the violence that they have endured in the past tense, as if Indigenous communities still aren't here, as if that pain still isn't being felt. And so I was delighted to know that this community might be doing something differently than most places. I am concerned about costs. I'm concerned about us holding a vote and being able to center the voices of those who have been most historically harmed and marginalized. So if this board votes in favor of holding a vote, I would be in favor of it being countywide. So as Supervisor Simon says, we know where everyone stands on Indigenous issues. We know what the work will be to move forward, and we know what kind of healing must be engaged in. With the remainder of my time, I want to say that I'm not convinced that holding a vote is doing the work of being in restorative healing with one another. And that is what I would invite this board to consider how we can continue doing, how we can be in meaningful repair, those of us who are not Indigenous, how our communities can learn to understand one another, and how we can learn to make repair. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Sir, after you, I'm going to switch over to Zoom, and then I'll come back to the chamber.
Hey guys, my name is Richard Booker. Been here since the early 70s. I agree with Moak on most of his version of what's going on. I don't believe the county is a racist county. I think there are racists in the county, but I've seen too much love in this county to let that stand without saying something. On the other hand, Bruno, I didn't hear anything from you regarding the open wound. That's obviously here. I heard a lot of concerns about money. So as the chair, I'd like to hear from you on your thoughts on this obvious open wound. Some history belongs in books. This is a constant reminder of very painful history. This needs to be a countywide vote. There are people affected all over this county. I ask all of you and you guys, this needs to be countywide.
Thank you. We're going to go to Zoom real quick, and we'll be back in the chamber. We're going to start with Jacob Gill.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. And you have
All right,
2
thank
minutes.
you. I will try to be short and sweet. I want to add my voice to the voices that have been mentioning that if there is a vote, it should be a countywide vote. I born and raised here in Lake County. I have the words Lake County tattooed on my leg. I love this community. I'm also excited, as the Unitarian minister who spoke, that Lake County might be taking a step in what I would say is a positive direction, trying to reckon with a history of colonialism and genocide in California and Lake County. So I also think that I'm not totally sure if a vote is the best way to go about this. I think there needs to be conversations in the community. There's a lot of education to be done, learning from each other. But I would add my support to what Supervisor Simon had said, and others as well, that if there is to be a vote, it should be countywide, because it's not just the residents of the Kelseyville School District that are affected here. We have Indigenous people in our community all over the county, and also many folks who have a stake in this decision. So I support the idea that if there should be a vote, it should definitely be countywide. And I want to just generally say that changing the name of Kelseyville would be a hugely positive step. in terms of reckoning with history and moving towards real healing. It's clearly not all that needs to be done, but it.
Are you done, Jacob? I feel like we lost you. All right. Thank you for your comment, Supervisor Green.
Just a very quick question for County Council ROV, just so we have an informed discussion on the countywide measure. That would include voters in the incorporated cities of Lakeport and Clear Lake, correct? And if you don't have an immediate answer, I think we would like to know that sooner than later, but I think that's my assumption, is that it would. So just want to clarify that as we advocate for against a countywide, whether the cities would be included in that.
And we'll go.
I do want to say that before Lloyd went on vacation, he did say his recommendation was countywide inclusive of cities.
Okay. And we'll go ahead and write that question down and get back to Ms. Valadez to see. We're going to move on to Zoom. Fred Briones, you have 2 minutes.
Hello, thank you. I'm calling in here from my Lilac home here, which now they call it Kelseyville. I do not support any of the votes, no votes. I'm actually quite disappointed that the Board of Supervisors, it is your job, it is the law, that you must make the decision for the name change. However, the discussion today was about, I heard from the cost. Tell the indigenous peoples and others the social equity cost of this. You cannot convince us how much this hurts, the generational trauma that we have experienced. And we lived here so peacefully here in this valley before Kelsey. And then he came, and look, all this fighting still yet to this day. So if we change that name, the fighting will end and we will live in peace. And if they don't like it, those ones who moved here, moving expenses are a tax write-off. That costs. Move. Get out of here. This is Indian land. And what you have done to us, there's called generational trauma. We are angry. We are upset because no justice has ever been served. And we must remove Kelsey today. And I'm going to bring it up at the next Board of Supervisors meeting to put it on the agenda that the Board of Supervisors make their recommendation. Enough of this, the cost of how much this is going to cost. If you don't understand the cost, that is called the white privilege. You are the white privileged. And I'm so disappointed that my District 5 representative brings that up, the cost. She doesn't understand, and she is obviously the white privileged. And we must end white privilege. And I want to make a prayer here while I'm on top of my house.
And your 2 minutes are up, sir, if you can finish.
That my chairman, Flamin McLeod, replaces you, District 5, and he becomes our representative. This is Indian land.
Thank you for your comment. Next is Sky. And then we'll go back to the chamber.
Chame, Sinwama, Akalekehe, Apadahukehe. I said, hello, how are you? My name is Sky. I am from the Garcia River of the Mouth people, otherwise known as the Manchester Ponerina Band of Pomo Indians out in Mendocino County. And as a Native American woman who is conducting a legal cannabis business in this county, I have to stand with my people. Even though I am a Central Pomo woman, our Pomo Nation is very large. We have our Northern Pomo. We have Central Pomo, which is all of Mendocino County. We have Sonoma, which is all of our Southern coastal Pomo people. And we have our Eastern, which is all of Lake County Pomo. Those are my people. And I stand behind Moki, and I support Eddie Crandall. And I support that we change the name of Kelseyville because there is generational trauma. I, as a Native American woman, I have experienced the racism against my business in this county, from government officials, from our tax collector, from the director. And as a Native American woman, I would love to see this go to the people and have the people be the voice. I support this. motion completely. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. We're going to go back to the chamber. We'll come back to the Zoom room soon. Please, sir.
Yeah, good morning. My name's Jim Comiskey. I know most of you here, and I'm a Kelseyville resident, and I'd like to start out by saying that I do support the vote, but I also support just Kelseyville Unified School District. And I know that rubs some people wrong, but my point being this, is that why should somebody from Nice, Clear Lake, Lakeport have a say in something that if the change and the small chance that the name gets changed, it's just dropping a hand grenade and walking away. That's not going to be impacted. They don't have to change their business license, all of their legal documents, all that stuff. We have an elderly population. Who's going to help them navigate all that stuff? I don't believe the county will. I think back to when the city, or Clear Lake Highlands when we were kids, was Clear Lake Highlands. And then they incorporated to be the city of Clear Lake, yes? I know I didn't have a vote in that because it didn't affect me. I believe there's healing that needs to be done. I don't believe we've actually indicated or found definitive proof that Kelseyville was named after Andrew Kelsey. And I don't think there's definitive proof. However, I think we need to focus more on the education and let the youth of the county of Lake understand how horrible that situation was at that time and how to never repeat it. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your comment. Sir.
Hi, good morning. My name's Eric Wojcik. I live in North Lakeport, and I want to thank the board for this opportunity to discuss the issue. I think it absolutely should go to a countywide vote, and I've had the opportunity to work in 45 countries on energy policy, and those votes and the way those things work are always distinguished by who gets to vote. It's a right that I think we should all have, and the mere fact that I don't live in Kelseyville to me is only part of the problem. We need to right this inequity. It will be impossible to do. This is an important step, a critical step, and I support both the board's decision to make a decision and a countywide vote. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. And sir, after you, we will go back to the Zoom room, so please come on up.
My name is Wayne Myers. I live in Kelseyville, and I keep hearing a countywide vote. Well, the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution gives everyone equal rights. And if we're going to be equal, then we need to have every vote in the county for every city be a countywide vote. Otherwise, we're doing things different for this county than the other, or for this city than that city. It all needs to be the same. You can't have it two ways. So my vote is to keep it in Kelseyville. The people of Kelseyville are affected by more than anyone in the county. Sounds to me like the vote's being padded by the people who want a countywide vote. They want to get extra votes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And on the Zoom room, we have Sarah Ryan next.
Good morning. My name is Sarah Ryan, and I am calling as a private citizen who lives in Supervisor Crandall's district. And I don't believe that this should go to a vote at all. I think if it did go to a vote, there are a lot of people who are very nostalgic about the name and are supporting their friends who live in Kelseyville, and it's entirely possible that we would lose the vote in terms of changing the name. And I don't think that this is something that should go to a vote, because Kelseyville has been identified by many people, including the local tribes, some of the local tribes, as being an offensive name. And AB 2022, Assembly Bill 2022, for the state of California, has already identified that no geographic feature or place name in the state of California should have a name that includes racial and sexual slurs and stereotype targeting Native Americans, which perpetuate prejudice, disparage racial minorities, and contribute to the current crisis of missing and murdered Indigenous people. So there's already a law in the books that says that names can be changed if they fall within these categories. By taking it to a vote, we are spending money that's not needed. We're creating additional division that is going to put us on one side or the other. And there's the scary possibility that there are enough people who are putting nostalgia over decency, who are putting money over morality. And, I did live in Kelseyville for years. My children graduated from Kelseyville High School, or my oldest daughter did.
If you could please finish your comment.
Thank you. So yes, I vote for no vote, and that we do the right thing and change the name. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Next is Danette Rangel.
Good morning. My name is Danette Rangel, and I'm a tribal member with Big Valley. I just would like to say thank you to the Board of Supervisors for hosting this. And I agree with that one county supervisor on the far right, I think it was. He said that they're confident enough to make that decision on our behalf. If you guys do make this a ballot, put it on the ballot, it's just going to divide the community even more. I think you guys as a board should make that decision for us, just like my cousin Fred said. I agree with that as well. And if you guys do decide to make it a ballot decision, then I agree with our Native Americans that they should have input on it. It should be a Lake County vote. I heard a lot of the community members of Kelseyville saying that the others are not affected, but if voters of Lake County are going to be able to weigh in on this matter, it should be a county-wide vote. If it's limited to only Kelseyville residents, it would be considered discriminatory. That's like asking only the Native Americans whether the name should change or not. It's unfair and unjust. Kelseyville residents are not the only population that was affected by the intergenerational trauma from the 1800s. Some residents have recently moved here and aren't affected in that aspect. However, being that Kelseyville was within Indian territory, all the surrounding Indigenous people have been directly affected, including all our tribal relations and communities. Having lineage from Indigenous peoples who lived here prior to Kelseyville and his allies, we should be included in this conversation and decision-making process. If the Board of Supervisors decide to listen to the community, it should listen to everyone and allow everyone to have a vote who lives within the Lake County borderlines. You guys talk about money, but we can find the money. If the government can sponsor genocide 100 years ago, we can find the money to help repair the harm that the history has done. It's a step in the right direction for this county as a whole. Let's be a part of the intergenerational healing and keep that in mind when the Board of Supervisors makes their decision. Thank you.
Perfect timing. Thank you for your comment. Last one on Zoom, and then we'll come back to the chamber. Patricia Franklin.
Hello, good morning. My name is Patricia Franklin, and I'm from Scotts Valley Band of Pomo Indians. Someone mentioned reopening old wounds. As a descendant of Chief Augustine, who was a victim of the brutality and slavery of Andrew Kelsey, I want to let you know the wounds are not old. They are present here every time we see the name plastered everywhere. The pain is here with my people, my family. I think the Board of Supervisors should make the decision. But if a vote must be made by the people, it should be countywide. Because of historical atrocities, the Native population is low, and a vote may not give the people who this affects a fair chance, my people, for the healing that comes with the name change. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. We're going to go back to the chamber, please.
Makakachin, Batale Hintohe. My name is Jaime Boggs. I'm from the Robinson Rancheria, and I also come from Chief Augustine on my grandmother's side. On my grandfather's side, I come from the Moore family. But There's a lot of intergenerational trauma involved in this process, and we're here to heal. And in that healing process, I really would like to see the county make the decision, but also in that process, we all need to work together and be together. I've been in Lake County my entire life, and I take that with great pride. I'm a cultural person. I'm a traditional person. I'm proud to say that we still are involved with all of our traditions and cultures, but we can all make that decision. We can all hold hands in the end, and that's my objective. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Hi, I'm Alex. I'm a resident of Kelseyville, and I think that this discussion has been really elucidating because it's clear that A, the people have spoken, they have elected you as our Board of Supervisors, and I think that gives you the power to make this decision. And B, the items on the agenda in Section B, the resolutions about whether this should be a countywide vote or a Kelseyville Unified School District vote, are there because you all are trying to be really cheap about something that deserves your full attention and deserves your full decision making. I don't care that there's an election coming up in November. This has been going on since the 1800s. That's not a good reason to slap together a boundary around the Kelseyville Unified School District and pretend that those are the only people impacted. It's also, frankly, not even a really good reason to send it to the whole county. I would prefer that the whole county vote because I don't think that we should be drawing some arbitrary boundary based on what's convenient for our elections. But I don't even think the whole county needs to vote. I think this is being crammed in so that you can shift responsibility elsewhere instead of voting yourselves to send a recommendation, which is, by the way, a recommendation. They don't even have to listen to you, but they want to listen to you, and take that back to them. And if folks here are really concerned about the costs of changing the name, that's a different discussion. If they're concerned about a healing process, that's something that maybe we can do over a time span that's longer than what it takes to be prepared for the November election. But I don't think either of those things have to happen to start by changing the name. I think that can be step one of a healing process. I think there's a lot more healing to be done after that. And I think that we've done this before. The number of people named Adolf Hitler in the phone book dropped drastically after the 1930s. The number of Kelseys ought to go down.
Thank you for your comment. Next, please.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Flamin McLeod, and I'm the tribal chairman for Big Valley Rancheria. I want to thank you, Moat, EJ, Michael, Bruno, Jessica. Over time, going through these discussions, and I've been reached out by several people on both sides, right? And, it gets me to form my opinion, right? And for one, I would have to agree with, my cousin Fred, right? Somebody back here was talking about it's a democracy, let the people vote. The people voted to have you guys up there, right? To speak for your districts. That's what you guys should do. You guys are put up there to speak for your districts, right? And another thing is, if you're talking about putting this to a vote and you just keep it towards Kelseyville, when we went and did the land acknowledgement thing at the school board, the folks at Kelseyville said, you're making this political and you shouldn't be at the school, this and that, this and that. But now when it's a vote to just keep it in their area, let's do the Kelseyville school district. Like, it don't make sense. You're contradicting yourself, right? There's a couple times I thought a couple heads were going to blow up from the comments, strange. But if you're trying to get an idea of how people really feel, right, I believe and I feel it should be a countywide vote for the reason that if you're just doing it in Kelseyville, every single tribe that is in this county is outside of that boundary. You will not get no feedback from tribes, right? Because we were placed in certain areas, not by choice. We were removed from our homelands, and some of our villages were in the town of Kelseyville. So if you want to get an accurate opinion of how people feel, and yes, it does affect the whole county, right? And like they're saying, the cost and things like that, you're getting a lot of feedback about how it was back in the 1800s and the cost of our people's lives, right? There was bounties put on our heads. So countywide is what if it goes to a vote.
Thank you for your comment. After the next gentleman, we're going to go back to the Zoom room.
Hello, how are you? Good day to you. My name is Ron Montez Sr. I am a tribal elder of the Big Valley Band of Pomo Indians. My family's last name was Hopper. My father was Montez from the tribe of the Wintun in the valley. I lived in Lake County mostly all of my life, and so I've lived through the school systems which teach nothing of what happened to our people. I've seen our elders unable to get jobs in this county because they're Indian. The only jobs they had were to go and pick fruit or nuts. When I grew up and became aged to work, that was my options also. But there was a call on me to do more, so I went to school and eventually went to college and got a little bit more education. Because of that, it just made me see the injustices that has happened to our people not being acknowledged. I went out to Alcatraz in '69. I was there. I was one of those who eventually went into the Yakeama, our land, in Sebastopol area, and took that property because it was abandoned, a government property. And Native Americans have the first right to obtain those lands. I got arrested, went to federal court, and we won. I am a fighter, and I'm not quiet about it. And I will state that I do believe that this board needs to make that decision and not the county or the city or the place they call Kelseyville. The name of that river that goes through there is Hitch.
If you could please finish your comment.
And so that name goes back before Kelsey. But I do want you to know that if you follow the history of Kelsey after he was when he was passed because of the murders, they call it, that family has continued to be doing the same things no matter where they went. So the history is Kelsey.
If we can finish the comment, please.
So you guys vote.
Thank you.
Not county, not Kelseyville. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. We're going to jump over to Zoom real quick. We have Vivian McLeod. And if you wish to speak on Zoom, and I apologize for the interruption, if you wish to speak on Zoom, please put up your hand, or else I will not go back to Zoom if I don't see any hands. Sorry for the interruption. Please go on, Vivian.
Good morning, everybody. Vivian McLeod, Tribal Secretary, Tribal Member, Big Valley Band of Pomo Indians. I'd like to say thank you for everybody who's there today. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it. But I would like to say that I support my brother, Flamin McLeod, Chairman, what he had said, Danette Rangel, Patricia Franklin, that the Board of Supervisors has a responsibility to represent this topic, make a decision. That's your duty. Please do so. And if it had to go to a county vote, I support that it would be county. Sorry, if it had to go to a vote, I support that it would be countywide. As many have said, our people have said before, that it has affected not just Kelseyville. And, the first step to healing, and I like what Alex said too, so thank you, Alex, that it could be the first step to healing is the name change. So again, thank you, and I appreciate everybody who's there. Have a good day.
Thank you for your comment. Next is Christina Lord.
Good morning. My name is Christina Lord. I'm a resident of Middletown, and I'm a tribal member of Middletown Rancheria, and I am in support of the Board of Supervisors making this decision, not the county. But if it does go to vote and we have in the county, I think it should be the county. But the Board of Supervisors should have the say.
Anything further, or is that it? All right. Thank you very much for your comment. Next is Jesse Gonzalez. And then after Jesse, we will go back to, Jesse seems to have disappeared. After Chris McLeod, we'll go ahead and go back to the chamber.
Good morning. My name is Chris McLeod. I am a Big Valley tribal member. Thank you, board, for bringing this discussion to us. Much respect to all 5 of you. I would like to say that I support what Sarah Ryan and several others have said. It is a board duty. I believe that the board should make the decision. Once again, if it does come to a ballot, I would like to see this on the November ballot. And I too would like for it to be a countywide availability to vote on. I am a resident of District 2, which is Clear Lake. But my family members and where I have lived most of my life has been part of this horrific genocide. They were murdered, raped, and enslaved by Kelsey, and I should be able to vote because my family has suffered the cost more than anyone that has ever lived in Kelseyville. The majority of my tribal members, I was the previous tribal treasurer, and the majority of my tribal members don't live in Kelseyville. So there would be a disconnect and an abundance of unfairness if it was just left to that school district. So once again, I would much rather see the board, who has been given the vote of the people and the right to change the name and make the decision to change the name or not to change the name themselves. And again, if that is not to happen, I would like to see it on the November ballot, countywide availability to vote on. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your comment. We're going to go back to the chamber. Jesse, I see that you popped back up. We'll get to you first when we come back to the Zoom room. Let's go ahead and go back to the chamber.
Hi, I'm Barbara Green, Kelseyville resident, and I just wanted to read you an email I received from the BGN on April 11th. And what Jennifer Runyon wrote to me was, it's really critical that the County Board of Supervisors solicit local input and that they represent the wishes of the community when they provide their recommendation to the California Names Committee and the US BGN. This is why we are directing all commenters to share their opinions with the Board of Supervisors. Of course, if the Board of Supervisors wishes to conduct a formal ballot and base their opinion on the numbers, that would be up to them, which is what we're discussing today. But I really feel like local input would be the community. And I don't know how you could, get a different area for us to vote in or whatever you feel like the community would encompass, but that is what they're asking for. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Small update, Kyle Bill. Science can trace my lineage back about 300 to 400 generations in this area, so just want to kind of give a context of how long we've been here. I think that it's important for us to recognize that a lot of the comments that are made always, a lot of them start with, I don't understand how this impacts tribal people. I want to encourage people, instead of just asking questions about how this impacts, is to go seek answers to the ones that have the answers to that. I think that if this should come up, I believe that it should be a countywide initiative. We were once 100% of the population in this area, and now we're only 3%. And so looking to that, understand that our people were in these areas that are impacted, and not by choice that we are no longer living in this area. I think that I also agree with Supervisor Green that as elected officials, sometimes you are forced to make difficult decisions. But in our tribal communities, our leaders understand that they have to make tough decisions, and that they're the ones that are willing to take on the consequences and some of the negative things that come from that. But they're willing to do it because of that, the positions that they're in. So I want to encourage you that if it does come down to either one, I believe that you all should also be willing to make a statement. I would also just like to say that a lot of the questions about where do we go, what happens, those things can be figured out. As far as like elders not knowing how to do those things, it sounds like there's an existing tribe within Kelseyville that we just heard about today. And as a tribal value, our elders, we always help them. And so those solutions, I think community can come together and help one another. So I would say that this is an important thing that needs to be decided upon and that it should change. And the wrestling between right and what is right and what you feel could be the repercussions of doing what is right, I think are two different things that you should ponder. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. And after the next individual to come to the mic, we're going to move to the Zoom room, please. And you can bring the microphone down.
Thank you. If this was a few months ago, I could see putting it to a vote so that you'd get a county vote, because you get a full idea of how people feel. There's less than 100 days before the election. And believe it or not, there's a lot of people who don't know the history here. I talked to neighbors who've lived here. I live in Lakeport. I talked to some neighbors just within the last 2-3 weeks who've lived here over 20 years. They go to church in Kelseyville. And when I asked them if they knew the history, where the name came from, they didn't know anything. I don't see 100 days as enough time to educate and inform the populace, nor do I think you should be spending $50,000, which may seem like nothing to you, sounds like a lot of money to me, on something that you guys should decide. And it's even non-binding. The BGN can decide whatever they choose. So I am against putting up to vote. If you do put it up to vote, I think it definitely should be countywide. I think as an often undecisive person, this is a terribly undecisive thing that you guys are doing, and that's my opinion.
Thank you very much. What was that? Oh,
ma'am.
She just walked out. We didn't catch her name, but we will see what we can do. So we're going to go to the Zoom room, and we'll go with the next three, and then we'll come back to the chamber. Next is Nicole Whipple.
Is Jesse available?
Oh, sorry. Jesse, I forgot you. If we can go to Jesse Gonzalez first, since we haven't brought Nicole over yet. Thank you for the reminder.
Are you able to hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, my name is Jesse Gonzalez. I'm the vice chair for the Scotts Valley Band of Pomo Indians. I just wanted to state that I also would, like if the Board of Supervisors, were to act on this and make a decision to change the name. But if not, I do support a county wide vote. Just a little history. I know my family, my tribe, we're directly involved with Kelsey and a lot of his malicious acts towards the people here. My great grandmother was actually, he took her in the house, to took her over and was raping her, keeping her in the house like that. So that's a terrible thing to have to endure and then have, a city named after somebody like that. So I just really encourage you guys to take action on behalf of our tribe. And just as a human race, it's stuff like that. This isn't right. I just think we need to start making better decisions for our future and setting better examples. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Next is Nicole Whipple. Thank you for your patience. Oh, looks like Nicole disappeared and we got Steve. Steve, it's yours.
Good morning. Steve Stanglin, Kelseyville resident. And the Clear Lake Riviera is no longer, it is the Kelseyville Riviera, just to make that distinction, please. I believe that this should be a vote of the Kelseyville residents, any voter within the Kelseyville district, and that if the timelines are not conducive of that, then and the cost, then I'm fine with the Kelseyville school district boundaries as it's proposed. And I'm not going to go anywhere else with this. This is my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's try Nicole Whipple one more time. Looks like we got her.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
Sintama ke kanema, Nicole Anna, Round Valley ke Anna. My name is Nicole Whipple. I am a member of the Round Valley Indian tribes and a descendant of the Yuki and Pomo people. I have many ties to the Lake County tribes, and my daughter is a direct descendant as well of the Scotts Valley tribe. And we reside in Lakeport. I am here in support of the name change of Konocti, and I would like to ask the Board of Supervisors to acknowledge and respect all of the tribal governments and recommendations to uphold the legislation of AB 2022 and all of the hard work that our tribal people have done in creating the bill packages to change and atone for the genocidal acts across California and Indian country. And so, I really feel for the people who are asking that as supervisors, you take that upon yourself to make that decision to do the right thing and uphold the laws and the things that we have already accomplished in Indian country with these bills. As we have worked on my tribe, I was able to work on the name change of Hastings Law School, and it does hurt. It's hard. And it does help with the healing as well. And it's hard to have those conversations amongst the two entities, but it was very heartwarming, to say the least, to hear board members at Hastings Law School say that, they were embarrassed because of the name of the school, prestigious school that they went to, and not knowing the history. And I think that's where we are here with Kelseyville as well, because the Kelseys inflicted pain amongst Mendocino, Lake, Napa, Sonoma, and Humboldt County, not just Lake County, not just Kelseyville. And if a vote must be taken, then I do agree that it needs to be the entire county of Lake. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. And we're going to go back to the chamber, and we'll do the next three, and then we'll come back to the Zoom room.
Good morning. My name is Lorna Sides, and I'm the proponent of the name change with the USBGN. And I just wanted to mention that I've had a nice life. I've worked most of my adult life, but I've never been asked to, as far as I can remember, to swear an oath to uphold the Constitution. A lot of people in this room maybe as well, and in the county as well. On the other hand, we've got the Board of Supervisors, and you've been sworn to uphold the Constitution. In 2023, the USBGN sent you letters requesting that you discuss this and come to some kind of decision. They asked for your opinions, and as far as I know, it's possible that they've received individual opinions, but as far as I know, they have not received any opinions. You've sat on this for several months. I spoke to the USBGN a couple of weeks ago, and they said you want us to poke them again, meaning again request that you, come to some kind of decision or just at least decide not to decide. You have signed a proclamation. I don't think everybody up here, but there's been a proclamation signed in the county to support justice and equity. Equity is taking care of the least of the people. I'm not a constitutional scholar, but in the 13th and the 14th Amendment, it supports the people's right to have the least of the people respected and given justice in this country. So I do not want this included as a vote. I would like to see opinions or just statements that you're not giving opinions sent to the USBGN so the process can move along. If it does go to a vote, it's going to be a very ugly campaign, and it's going to pit neighbor against neighbor.
Please finish your comment.
Okay. And I have a lot of questions with the framing of the question. So I think the question should be, is the name Kelseyville offensive? I think it needs to come with a definition of what the word offensive means. And I think it
Please
needs
finish
to,
your comment.
I think it needs to, in the measure, address the sins that were committed by Andrew Kelsey.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Next, please.
Mark Borgasani, Kelseyville resident. 2 minutes to justify 68 years of being Kelseyville lumber and 60 years of being a Kelseyville resident. It's pretty tough. I do support an advisory vote. I support item B, Kelseyville only. Supervisor Simon wanted some input on that. You know, Kelseyville is going to share the whole burden of this, the entire burden of this name change, all its residents, its businesses. I have a 150-foot sign up on the back of my business that says Kelseyville Lumber. So after the name changes, then what am I? You know, I've put my entire life into this county, my entire life into building Kelseyville and building a brand. At no time have we ever discussed honoring Andrew Kelsey. I understand, and I can feel it. I can feel pain in myself. But ripping the heart and the soul out of a town is not fixing, it's not building bridges where there's walls. Last meeting we were here, we were in a visioning meeting, and we talked about, I think we're going to build more walls, but again, that's just my opinion. One question I have, Maria didn't really address the actual cost of just adding our issue onto the ballot. It was more generalized. There's a lot more I'd like to go over. I just know that I respect all of you guys, and if it ends up in your hands, I respect that also. I've been working with Moak for more than 2 decades. Supervisor Crandall and Sabatier made me feel welcome at the sunrise ceremony. Thank you, Jessica, for trying to bring this forward and make something happen. And Supervisor Green, I appreciate all your comments you've made in the last few meetings, so thank you very much. If it ends up with you guys,
Please
I would
finish
rather
your
not do
comment.
that. I would rather it be just Kelseyville vote, but however it ends up, I understand.
Thank you. Next, please. And after you, sir, we're going to go back to the Zoom room.
Hello, I'm James Robello, and up until today, I thought I was a Kelseyville resident. But as it turns out, just because we have the zip code that's for Kelseyville, and everything comes to us from the government, all of our tax bills come to us in Kelseyville, but we don't have a vote. And I think that's wrong, number one. Use the zip code, because there's a lot of people in the area. I can't do much about that. The identity is an identity that's been here. It never had bothered us. We didn't know how the pain was carrying forward from this one individual. And I apologize for that. If you have to, vote yourselves or make it countywide. I don't see anything in excluding people who thought they were in Kelseyville, thought they bought property in Kelseyville, thought they lived here in Kelseyville, and find out now that, nope, we have no say at all. We'll go along with the county, I guess.
Thank you for your comment. We're going to go to the Zoom room, and we'll go ahead and take a break at 10:45. Dallas Cook, you're up next.
Here we are. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Okay, good. My name is Dallas Cook. I chose to send.
We've lost you. We'll come back to you. Let's go ahead and move on to Anthony's iPhone. And there is a way for you to call in if you're having internet issues. The number is on our agenda, and that might be an easier way to communicate to us.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, we can hear you.
Excellent, thank you. So my name is Anthony Gordino. I live in the Kelseyville Riviera. I too am kind of shocked that we just learned that if it stays to a Kelseyville vote, we wouldn't have a vote. I think this vote should be countywide because what you're doing by making it just Kelseyville is reinforcing to the native population here in Clear Lake that they don't have a vote and they don't have a voice and what they say doesn't matter. And so it is my wish that this would go county. I'm a graduate of Kelseyville High School. I was the first class as the Knights instead of the Indians. I don't know if any of you remember how brutal those debates were at Kelseyville High School and how they degraded very quickly into some very hateful things. This is necessary. We need to address the pain that is in this community. And the only way we can do that is by making sure everyone's voice is heard and taking this vote countywide. Otherwise, you're just telling people that what they feel and how they feel doesn't matter and that they don't have a voice. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Next is Peter Windrum. Peter, you're still muted.
My apologies. The name Kelseyville means different things to different people. Some see the ghost of Andrew Kelsey. Some see the beautiful, friendly country town that they've spent a lifetime working on to make it that and have no connection whatsoever with Andrew Kelsey. The tragedy of the vote is that there's a winner and a loser. There's no compromise. It's a winner and a loser. And that further divides these two communities. It is not a healing process at all. Furthermore, we're not given the opportunity to talk about the idea, if there is a name change, whether Konocti is a good idea. A number of us, and others too, don't think so. But that's not presented in this vote in any way. So I'm discouraged that what we're hearing about, and I understand this, I'm discouraged that we're not giving credit to whether there's a redemption in process involved with the name of Kelseyville. As has happened, there are no Kelseys here, by the way. They're all gone. And so it just disregards the work over the last 50 or more years to make this town something other than just the legacy of Andrew Kelsey. So for those reasons, I think a vote is not the right way to go. Instead, we need to take time and spend an immense amount of time trying to get a result that does not harm so many innocent people. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. And let's go with Amelia Thomas. I lost count, but we'll go back to the chamber after.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, hi. I'm speaking on behalf of my children, my grandchildren, my family, my people, and the next generation to come. I am not for the vote. If the vote does get approved, I feel like it should be countywide. I'm about I'm a direct descendant, 300 generations. I live in the Kelseyville district. I feel like by changing the name, we could lay down a better future that will help us heal from a bad past, generational trauma. So I do encourage that it doesn't go to a vote, and if it does go to a vote, that it should be countywide. I just feel like, keeping a name where it comes from a man that did very bad, wrong, horrible things to our people, I feel like that name should not be there. It's just like it's just keeping on the generational trauma for our new generation to come here in the county. So I encourage it to be countywide if it does get approved for the vote, but I'm really not for the vote. And I am Pomo Indian, direct descendant from this county that live in the Kelseyville district. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Let's go ahead and go back to the chamber.
Alan Fletcher, C4H, CCOM resident. The issue is not morals versus majority. The issue is morals. Are we concerned whether the name is offensive or whether it's a brand name we're protecting? Sorry for the cost, but the brand name
Please speak to the board.
A history lesson. Go back about 2,000 years. Townspeople came to Pontius Pilate and said, there's this nasty new uppity name coming in town. It says it's healing and beautiful. And Pontius Pilate said, what do you want to do with it? And the tribespeople says, we want to choose a name. So, okay, you have the right to choose the name. Once a year you can pick. You want to choose Kelsey or Konocti? The evil person Kelsey. No getting away from the history. Your history is bunk, sir. Do you want to choose Konocti or Kelsey? And the crowd called. What's the crowd yelled? Kelsey, Kelsey, Kelsey.
Sir, I'm going to interrupt you. I need you to speak to us and not turn back to the audience. You're speaking to the board. Please.
Thank you. And then Pontius Pilate asked, well, what shall I do with this name Konocti? And the crowd yelled, crucify it, crucify it, crucify it. So the cavalry came, in between. Pontius Pilate said, I find no fault with this name. I wash my hands of it. Do you need to wash your hands, sirs? So the cavalry came, and they took the name Konocti, the beautiful healing name, up to the top of a nearby mountain, and that's how it got its name. And the evil name, Kelsey, Andy Kelsey, remained as a divisive name between these people and those. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comment. Next, please.
Good morning. I'm Laurel Ulrich and a resident of Kelseyville for many, many years. And I'd like to just reinforce what Mark said. I think the decision will impact the Kelseyville residents more than anyone else. So number one, I think it should be put to a vote. Number two, I think the vote should be restricted to Kelseyville residents only. And just a reminder to all of us, I don't own this land. You don't own this land. We're the stewards of this land while we're here. Let's take care of it. Let's live peacefully together. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Next, please.
Good morning. I'm Catherine Quisgard, and I'm a Kelseyville resident. And I'd like to read a quote from a poster announcing a gathering in Upper Lake regarding the Bloody Island sunrise ceremony. O ma rum da ka di ka, and I'm sorry if I butchered that. I know the messenger, Flint man. I know the message, a strange people and all the destruction they will bring. But we are also told to keep our faith. Do not be hateful, but forgiving. Do not be greedy, but share. Try and get along as best you can. Revenge is only for the fools. We are here because of the blessing from our Creator, and we are a part of the landscape like the oak tree. It is time for change and to go back to balance. Harmony and respect for all creation is a respect for self. Wakadi Kabakodi. My idea is Kelseyville only for the vote because we're the ones being affected by it. And I'm wondering who is perpetuating the trauma? The Kelseyville people? When are we going to see the harmony and respect come into play? Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. So I see nobody else in the chamber at this moment. I'm going to move on to the Zoom room. Jacob's iPhone. Oh, Jacob, you disappeared. Let's go to Danielle.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. My name is Danielle Ige Sorelli. I am representing the 287 members of the Hebematal Pomo of Upper Lake. Our people have lived here and been stewards of this beautiful land since time immemorial. Like my sister sovereigns, my tribe suffered greatly when the U.S. military attacked our ancestors in 1850, which is known as the Bloody Island Massacre. Words cannot accurately portray the historical trauma that is so evident today. When you know better, you do better, and we know better. And we know that we need to lead by example, especially for our younger generations. For that reason, my tribe, we vote to have an all-county vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's try Jacob's iPhone again. Oh, you keep putting your hand down? If you put your hand back up, Jacob, we will bring you in. There we go. And please unmute. I forget if it's *6 or *9 to unmute. It's been a while. *6. So Jacob, we're not hearing you and you're not unmuting. Please try and figure out your technology. We'll try and get back to you. Let's go ahead and bring it back to the chamber, please.
Good morning. Thank you. Mary Morse, Kelseyville resident, owner of Kelseyville Appliance. I'm here to, number one, say I do not want to see the name change. Number two, I do want to see it go to vote because you supervisors, as much as we respect all of you, and I thank all of you for this opportunity. Thank you. And Jessica, thank you. You're put there to be the voice of us, every one of you, the voice of your district. And so I ask you to be open to that vote. Thirdly, the question, well, it was really A and B that was discussed today. It should be just Kelseyville, but I do agree with 95451. It pretty much encompasses, if we go by the Lake County Area Plan, number one, that is something that's just brand new. And for it not to include Kelseyville, which is 107 miles in circumference, I think it's probably not the best representation because a lot of people will not have a voice. It will affect us, but who it affects more than anybody? Having a business, it's going to be brutal. It's okay. We can do it. We'll get through it. Where I'm concerned is we love our elders, whether they are native elders, which go back thousands and thousands of years here. And you were wonderful stewards of this land, and we thank you for that. but we're all stewards now. We are a melting pot, and there's nothing wrong with that. And we don't want more walls. We want unity. And if it means us working together in Kelseyville to represent you better, we want to do that. Last but not least, our seniors will be hit so hard. They can barely write their checks every month to pay their PG&E, their telephone, and I know I have to go. Our elders will be hurt the most. And so I ask you to please consider everyone and not just your personal, each of our personal feelings. We need to listen. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. And after the next speaker, we're going to take a 15-minute break.
That's a lot of pressure. Good morning, everybody. My name is Joanne Saccato, and I'm here as a private citizen that lives in Cobb. I want to take a moment to appreciate the board's efforts to learn the opinion of their constituents, because they do represent their constituents, and that is what the U.S. Board of Geographic Names is asking for, is the public opinion. So thank you for this opportunity. And I'm also thankful that this opinion that you're going to be gathering from your constituents is only advisory, right? The board is taking into account many different parts of what they're exploring to make their decision about this. So I'm glad that, the pressure isn't on that whatever the vote says is what it's going to be. So keeping that in mind when we do cast our vote, that it is advisory only. What I hear missing from some of our constituents here is a listening to the truth of those who are most impacted by the terrible crimes of Mr. Kelsey, and that is the family of his victims, right? So we of privilege seem to not value those voices. That's a lot of what I'm hearing. And I think we need to listen more clearly to the harm that is being expressed, that the intergenerational harm that has been experienced, and what those victims are saying would actually be healing for them. Because I think we're missing that. And I get that. It's really hard to see the water that we swim in. I've been touting that for a few years now. So we need to believe people when they tell us this hurts. And we need to believe people when they tell us this is what would help heal it. And then if I'm correct here, the name change does not impact private businesses in the fact of what they choose to name their businesses. Is that correct?
We'll go ahead and respond to that afterwards, but your time is up.
Oh, okay.
If you could just
Yeah.
finish your comment.
Well, I was going
or
to
be
say,
done.
there are people that say that they live in the state of Jefferson and they live in the legal California and legal Oregon and wherever else, but they choose to say they live in the state of Jefferson. So it's not saying that you can
We need
never
to finish
use
the
the
comment.
name ever again.
Thank you very much. So we're going to take a break. We will reconvene at 11 a.m. Please form a line right away for who wants to speak next and raise your hand in Zoom. If I do not see anybody standing or anybody with your hands up, then we will bring it back to the board and close public comment. So please do so. We'll be back at 11. All right, let's go ahead and reconvene. If everybody could please take their seats. Those that want to remain standing because they're in line to speak, please do so on the right-hand side of the chamber. Those that are in the Zoom room, please raise your hand so I can make sure to not miss you and come back to the Board of Supervisors before getting to your comment. All right, truly appreciate that. Looks like we're all ready. I want to make sure the room's ready for you before we start. And let's go ahead and get started.
I'm Richard Smith. I live in Kelseyville. I've been in the county for 16 years. The supervisors were elected to represent the people and to represent your constituency. I see no reason why you have to ask the whole constituency what their opinion is, when in fact your job is to find out what their opinion is and render it. I don't see any reason to spend money on a vote of first of all, not everyone votes. You're going to get the opinions of people on a very cold document that's going to be in the voter manual. Actually, this is a very emotional situation, and it's up to you as supervisors to decide what to do, not to give it to the people. You should know what your constituents believe and what they want, and you should represent that as an opinion. There's no reason to spend money to get an opinion. I would say you need to take a command of this. You need to take responsibility and do it yourselves. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Next, please, in the chamber.
Is there an order? Yes, you're next. Oh, I am.
There is absolutely no order. Whoever's first in that line.
I just found out this was happening and kind of ran up here. My name is Sarah Brucker. My grandfather was the postmaster of Cobb. His name was Arnold Robinson. He had a brother named Kelsey Robinson. And when I was little, I asked my I found out that he was named after their mother, Olga Kelsey. And I asked my grandmother, wow, are we related to whoever Kelseyville is named after? And she said, absolutely not. And I was very shocked. And she was born about 100 years ago, as was my grandfather. And there was no talk at that time about Kelseyville being named after anyone else other than Mr. Kelsey. And I think he's brought a lot of shame on our family name. I have something like 3 relatives who came over on the Mayflower. I'm also Jewish. I have relatives who are dead in the ground. I have relatives who are Cherokee, and I have relatives who are Lake Miwok. And I think it is a good idea to change this name or to somehow show respect for what happened here. I also have a degree in linguistics, and the linguistic evidence shows that there have been people here in the United States as long as they have been anywhere else. Australia, Africa, anywhere. The archaeological evidence definitely points to 10,000 years. So I think it is significant that someone was here for at least 10,000 years before white people came along, and I think we need to show some kind of respect for that, and this might be the way. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Next, please. And then we're going to switch over to Zoom.
Good afternoon. My name is Robert Bocabella. I live in the Kelseyville Riviera. I've been here 14 years. I think this whole thing is really unfortunate because it's dividing our community. My heart goes out to all the indigenous people, but I need to go on record. It's insulting that some of us are being. We are not racist. I am not a racist. I think it's important that if we do go forward with a vote, 95451 is Kelseyville. We identify as Kelseyville, whether we're in the Riviera or downtown. So this is hard for all of us. It's tearing our community apart. And guys, we elected you. If you just do this, just get it over with, okay? Thanks.
Thank you for your comment. We're going to move over to Jesus Compañero. Oh, looks like you disappeared. If you're still there, let's keep your hand up.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Good afternoon. My name is Jesus Campanero. I'm a tribal member of Robinson Rancheria. I also have relatives in multiple other tribes around the lake. Today, I just wanted to comment. I'm for a no public vote. I would like the board to decide. And if there was to be a vote, I would like countywide. I've been hearing comments about this is only affecting residents of Kelseyville, but the Kelsey brothers' oppression and genocide, that didn't stop at the man-made borders of Kelseyville. It went all the way around the lake, and blood of indigenous people has been spilled all the way around this county. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you very much for your comment. I see no further hands up in Zoom. I'm going to come back to the chamber. Please, if you want to comment on Zoom, put up your hand or we will close public comment and you will not be able to speak. Let's go back to the chamber. Please come on up.
Good morning. My name is Kathy Joy DeSoto. I'm in favor of saving the name Kelseyville. And if it comes to a vote 9451, I understand everything. And it's not only happened to Indigenous, and I want to say I'm quarter Apache, Mescalero Apache, but we all have to move on. We have to move on. We have to educate each other and our hurts from our generations. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Next, please.
Good morning. My name is Brad White. I have a business in Kelseyville and live in Kelseyville. I would be in favor of saving the name of Kelseyville, and the vote should be to the zip code because that is who it affects. In saying that, we all feel the shame of what had happened 180 years ago, but it doesn't change what's happening now. Kelseyville has become a thriving, loving, caring community, and we feel very inclusive with our Native American brothers and sisters. So I don't feel that changing the name is going to help anything. It's only dividing us more, and I would like to see it stay the same. That's it.
Thank you very much. Senor Carpenter, a previous Spanish professor.
Hello, my name is Matt Carpenter, and I want to again thank the board for having this meeting. I agree with Mr. Green that by not commenting or making a vote yourselves, or having the discussion previously at least, by all intents and purposes, you have sort of ceded that ability to the people. And in that case, then I would support a vote by the people, and I would say limited again to the population that's most affected, which is the area of Kelseyville or the Kelseyville district, or I know people said 95451, but the 5th district is what I would suggest. I know that there are some feelings about it, but I don't think that this is totally should be an emotional decision. The other thing that's been talked about is just the idea that a few people have put an issue forward. It's time for all the people to give their view on it. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much for your comment. Next, and after this comment, we're going to go back to Zoom and we'll come back to the chamber.
Hello, my name is Barbara Hollenkamp. I've lived in Kelseyville for about 6 years, but I've been coming up to Lake County since I was a child. I really think that the name Kelseyville should stay as it is, Kelseyville District, Kelseyville Zip Code, whatever. History cannot be changed. We learned from history, and what Kelsey did in the 1800s was horrible, and we can't change that. We can only learn and better ourselves going forward. And so I think the hurt from everything that happened then isn't going to go away. It's going to still go forward and exist. And we just need to try to make things better on our own. This is not the first time something like this has happened in other parts of the United States or the country, the world. And we need to learn from everything that happened, and that's why history is what it is. And it's just a learning experience, and I do feel bad for all the Indigenous people that this happened to, and I hope it never happens again. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. We're going to go to the Zoom room. We have Kevin Engel. If you can unmute, Kevin. And seeing no changes in your status, we're going to try you again later. Let's go back to the chamber. I know we had a comment. I believe the lady in front of you was ready to... I apologize. I was trying to be helpful, and I just completely ruined it.
Great. Before I begin my remarks, I'm Lois Jordan from Kelseyville, but before I begin my remarks about the town, I'd like to take exception to the remarks of Supervisor Simon. He twice in a public meeting took the name of my God in vain and then insinuated that our entire county is racist. And I take exception to that. So, since this has come before us the way it has, and you're going to vote one way or the other, and as a resident of Kelseyville, I feel that Kelseyville only should vote on this. You have not given us time to discuss this publicly, as a community. It's all fallen on us, and we've already taken the brunt of this name change. We've been called racist, we've been called white supremacists, and our group, Save the Name, has always stayed above board and positive. We've presented it as a wonderful town, a community. We include everyone who wants to come. Not everyone wants to come. But it's just wrong to brand us that way, and I really take exception to that. But I also think that the board has options. Cajun and BGN have said that they don't really want to handle this. They want it to be a local thing. And you right now could make a decision that the 5 of you think that this should be a community issue and handled locally and not put before the board. You can make that decision as well. But if you don't and you vote today, I think it should be Kelseyville only because we are already suffering the effects of this. And I just sat down, we're retired, and I sat down and there are 32 different things that we have to do to change the name. It's legal documents. It's not that. It's emotion. This is our town, our community. I went to school with tribal members. Probably the grandfathers of these people. But we got along. We can get along.
And your time is up, if you could finish your comment.
Right, but that doesn't need to be the issue. It's thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Whoever is next, please come on up. Please, sir.
Is this the microphone?
A little further. But yet, no, straight ahead. You were pointing to the right place.
Okay.
There you are, sir.
How do you do? I would like to reiterate that thank you for holding this event. My name is Francis Howland, Howland. I live in that town with the questionable name. But like the general consensus, I think the 5 of you have the ability to do this without the expense of a vote. But due to the fact that I think they should do the right thing and change the name to whatever they want to, and that we could hold bake sales and yard sales to cover the expense of the constituency that requires their literature to change. And yeah, I'd like to see a new name for that town so that they can have a different future. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment. Thank you, Supervisor Green. Whoever's next, please come on up to the microphone.
My name is Connie Thomas Wright, and my family came here in covered wagons in the 1800s. They were stewards of this land forever, farmers, ranchers. My dad and his aunts went to Kelseyville High School when it was Kelseyville Indians. I went to Kelseyville High School. My kids went to Kelseyville High School. Everybody were proud Indians, we thought at that time. I went to school with a lot of Native American, indigenous. We rode the bus together. We played tetherball together on the playground. I am not a white supremacist, and I am not a racist. I taught school here for 20 years. I taught lots of kids of all races. I treated everyone the same forever. And I'm insulted that I am considered a racist or a supremacist, because I'm not. And I hope that there's some resolution here. I don't know whether we should have this vote or not, but I'm glad you're listening to us. And if there is a vote, I would hope that it would be Kelseyville. And I don't know if this is going to be resolved by doing any of this, but I'm glad we're at least having a chance to speak. I've almost been a little bit fearful of coming forward because I've been put in that category where I'm white. Therefore, I need to apologize. And I do apologize. I'm sorry that this happened, but it had nothing to do with me. It had nothing to do with my family. My family was an important part of this community, always has been. I always have been. I'm 80 years old. I was born in a house in Kelseyville, and so was my father. And like I said, we've lived here forever. They came here in covered wagons. They had nothing to do with all the horrific things that happened, and I'm sorry for that. So I thank you for listening.
Thank you for your comment. We're gonna swap back to the Zoom room real quick. Let's try Kevin Engel again. See if we can get him unmuted. There we go.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes, first of all, I'd like to say I was especially impressed with the comments of Supervisor Green and Supervisor Simon. Now, I would contend Mr. Borganese, or whatever his name is, from Kelseyville Lumber, and the business community of Kelseyville, that the name Konocti has a much larger brand due to Konocti Resort over the years, and people from all over California, many states in the country, and even Europe recognize that name. And I would say, as far as a brand goes, that Konocti holds a far better brand than Kelseyville. I'd also like to say that the name Kelseyville is a slap in the face to all the tribal members every day of their lives. Okay? I am opposed to this advisory vote. Keep in mind, it is not a vote to change the name. It is merely a poll. I'd rather see that $50,000 go to, why don't you put out a mailer to everybody in Lake County, not the voters, but everybody in Lake County, to show what the real deal is. All the people. Okay? And that's about it, I guess. If you're going to do a vote on this, it's not just Kelseyville. It's not just Lake County. It's all of Northern California, where the Kelseys left trails of blood everywhere they went, even into Oregon.
Your time is over. Please finish your comment.
That's it, guys.
All right. Thank you for your comment. Oops. Dwayne Goforth. Let's go ahead and unmute.
All right, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes, thank you very much for being here today. I'd like to start off by saying that a very famous quote that there is nothing more constant than change, and I think we need to all realize that it happens all the time, and we should welcome it, welcome a good change all the time. I can point out that Lakeport used to be known as Forbes-town, Lower Lake used to be known as Grantsville, Kelseyville used to be known as Uncle Sam. Just a few months ago, Walker Ridge, the official name for Walker Ridge, was changed to Condor Ridge, and also a Wintu name, which I don't have in front of me. Also like to point out that Custer Battlefield National Monument was changed to the name of, what is it called? I forgot already. Little Bighorn National Monument for the same reasons we're considering today. The man Custer was not worthy of recognition or honoring the legacy. The change to the name of Little Bighorn honors everyone who was there at the time. The name Konocti that has no connotations that point to any people or any crimes of the past, whereas Kelseyville does. The name Kelsey is just not good for a whole lot of memories, and they keep talking about an open wound. The wound is still open because the name still exists. So I think the board should, if they're going to recommend to the Board of Geographical Names, should represent the entire county. And if a vote goes out, it should be for the vote of the entire county, just not one part of it. I live in the Riviera. It's Kelseyville. That's my zip code. That's what my postcards say. If you want to write me a letter, you don't write it to Riviera, California. You write it to Kelseyville. Everyone in the county is involved, and the image of our county is involved. And the Board of Supervisors represents everyone.
And your time is up, sir, if you can finish your comment.
All right, thank you. This is not going to go away, so I do believe the board should act proactively and should be leaders rather than followers. The vote would be advisory, but do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. I have no further hands up in Zoom. I'm going to move on over to the chamber for public comments. If you're in Zoom, please raise your hand so that I don't miss out on your comment. Let's go back to whoever's next. And please stand up so that we can make sure that we don't skip the next one.
First, I'd like to say thank you to the board. It seems like you have foregone power that is afforded to you to hear the voices of the community, which I think is a cool thing to do. You didn't have to do this. I think that's the right move. Second, what you asked for, which is my opinion, which is that I think if this has to be voted on, it should be voted on by 95451. That's my opinion. I'm not going to qualify that. That's my opinion. What I really want to say is that, in general, I just think that the binary, like yes or no approach to this is just the wrong solution. It just seems like these are the rails that we just seem to be on. But it seems like with the BGN and the way that this is being approached, there's a lot of latitude that you guys seem to have, like with all this talk of like, well, you're going to tell us our decision, but your decision, but we're just going to decide. And it just seems like there's a lot of room for play here. And the bottom line is, it's like the flaming pitchforks for you guys from one side or the other, no matter what. And on this side, it's like somebody's going to deliver a symbolic blow and somebody's going to take it on the chin. And it's like, I just don't think that's the right solution. So what I would love to see the board do, if it's possible or if you think it appropriate, is to come up with some other solution. I think that one side, both sides can give something up, both sides can receive. It's like, why can't the name Kelseyville stay? And why can't we come together as a community to recognize and acknowledge the pain of the past and make a plan for the way forward? I mean, we close down Kelseyville Main Street for the pears and to light the Christmas tree every year. Why can't we take some of that time and recognize that we can come together as a community and recognize all the awesome things that we can do? I love my Native brothers and sisters. I mean, I have a friend who's part of the Native community. I think I'm going to build his house and I'm going to go down to Mark's store and buy all the material to do it. It's like, there's no reason for us to have this yes or no, you win, you lose approach. I just think if you guys have the room, it would be really cool to see this board step beyond the bureaucratic BS that we see in every other part of government and come up with a solution that acknowledges both sides. Both sides have to give something up. The community could come together to design that. That would be so cool. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Thank you for your comment. So I'm not seeing anybody. Please come on up. Did we get your name, sir?
Your name, sir? My name? Oh, Matt Lockwood, sorry.
Matt Lockwood? Yeah. Thank you. Please.
Yad ehabena, she Arlena Kayazi yenishia. Denenishle, Deslao de Biado, New Mexico, Holiego. My name is Arlene Yazi. I come from New Mexico. I am a child of a boarding school, a victim, I guess you could say. At the age of 17, actually at the age of 3, I was put into a so-called Christian boarding school until I was like 15 or so when I ran away. I went into public school. It's been a hard journey listening to all of you, and I almost feel like I should scold all of you because I now consider myself an elder through my journey. After finishing the public high school, I was given a piece of paper by the Bureau of Indian Affairs, who at the time took care of Indians. They call us Indians. Put on a Greyhound bus. Never saw any other country but my own land. And on this journey on the bus, for the first time, it must have been Salt Lake, I think now. It was the middle of the night. I saw this just huge white something alongside, but I didn't know where I was. Then, I don't know what time it was still nighttime when I came into Oakland.
We're going to need your comment to be finished.
Well, not realizing that this is a huge city, huge ocean. I'm getting to the place that I'm saying, I've been out here now for 30 years. I moved to what you now call Kelseyville a good 30, 40 years ago when there was nobody
there. If you could please
there.
finish your comment. I've given everybody 2 minutes and we're
What
past
I
that.
want to say is the land has already been blessed. The land has already been given a name. It has been taken care of already by the people of this area, who it belongs to, who has given you all the benefits that you guys are living in
I
now.
appreciate what you're
So
saying.
I am saying, I would like, as you guys were told, it has already been taken care of through some of the laws.
We need to finish
So
your
as
comment.
your counsel, that's what your answer's already been taken care of. So you should already know your answer.
Ma'am.
You should not be asking
Ma'am.
us out here to
Ma'am.
fight with each
Everybody
other.
got 2 minutes.
This is how you treat us.
I've given you more than 2 minutes.
This is how you treat us.
This is how I've treated everybody
Yes.
who's come to the microphone.
Yes, that's the system. And the system treats us like this, gives us this much time
Ma'am.
when we have the whole world and time yet. You talk about
Ma'am.
money.
Ma'am.
You talk about being
Ma'am, we're going to need to
living
stop
in
the comment.
Kelseyville and being mistreated. I live in Kelseyville.
Ma'am,
I was raised, my kids were raised there. They were mistreated. So
Ma'am.
don't tell me that that place is holy. There's no holy place
I
there.
need you to finish your comment.
So
I am
I'm
trying
asking
to
you to
provide
vote
the
this
same
as a
exact amount of
county,
time for everybody.
as
I
a
am
count-
not
okay,
stating
vote.
I
You
need
take
you to
the
sit
vote
down.
yourself
Ma'am,
because it's
I need
already
you to
been
sit
taken
down.
care of.
Ma'am.
Also, the county needs to take the
Ma'am.
vote, not Kelseyville by itself.
Sit
There's no
down,
Indians there
please.
but me.
When I cut you off, it doesn't mean I don't like what you're saying. I'm trying my best to treat everybody in this room the same so that we can have an equal conversation of expression. It makes it really difficult. I don't disagree with everything that everybody is saying when I cut you off. It is not my job to cut you off based on how I feel. But I do need everybody to try and follow the process that we have here today. I described it very carefully in the beginning, and I want to treat everybody with respect on having the same access to the microphone as everyone else. That makes it very difficult for me, because I know this is an emotional topic for many, passionate topic for many, personal topic for many, and that includes myself. And so that makes it really difficult. I see no further folks standing up in the room. Please, everybody stand or raise your hand if you still want to make a comment. Okay, raise your hand in Zoom if you want to make a comment. I see one hand and I see 3 in the chamber. At this point, I think we can go ahead and finish public comment before we take our lunch. So let's go ahead and continue with the chamber, and we will go from there.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Myron Holden Reed. I'm a resident of Kelseyville. I'm in favor of Kelseyville area only vote on this subject if it happens. I thank Jessica for going to the work of putting this hearing together. The school district and the zip code 95451 pretty much overlap very, very closely. So there will be a school board election in November, as well as the school bond issue, which will be on the ballot. So putting the advisory question on the ballot is pretty simple and convenient for reaching eligible voters in the Kelseyville district. It's been brought up, and no question about it, there are about 12,000 residents in zip code 95451 who will all be affected by this name change. Think about there are wineries with labels that are going to have to be changed. There's going to be new compliance. There's going to be new business licenses, driver licenses, passports, trying to get your utility bills straightened out if the name and 95451 name is changed. Will the rest of the county have to do this? No. A vote, so, and the other thing is, the other part of it is Konocti a good name? If the name has to be changed, could Kelseyville people have anything to say about what the name should be? Konocti is part of the deal with...
You can please finish your comment.
Okay. Finally, will changing the name really heal all the problems? Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Hello, everybody. My name is Gabriel Ray, Scotts Valley Band of Point Indians. I'm in favor of you all making the decision yourself, if possible. But I hear today a lot of people talking about it should be a decision made by the people affected the most. Speaking about the people that live in Kelseyville, but 100% of the people that live around the lake, the people at the lake, the Pomo people, have been directly impacted by what happened there. So I think that being said, that there should be a county-wide vote if you all can't make that decision. And just hearing people make the comment of, the pain of changing your license or your documentation, comparing that to the raping of women, children, torture, murder, genocide, enslavement, taking of land, and there's no comparison. So, and if you want to name your business, whatever, Kelseyville, that's any business owner's right to name their business whatever they want. That has no effect on the name of the town. So that's just my comment. I'm in favor of you all making the decision yourself, and if not, then a county-wide decision. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Please.
Hello, my name is Michael Lampson, and we've been residents of Kelseyville since 1972. My husband was born in Lakeport. I am not in favor of changing the name of Kelseyville. It would be just, we've lived there for so long, it would be just such a hardship to change your name. It was a business name, and it has, the town of Kelseyville has recognition, and businesses do a lot of advertising to make sure that their name is known. Kelseyville is part of it. It is part of their identity. You change that, and the identity of the people and the town, a lot of it just goes away, and all of their advertising has gone for nothing. Their taxes pay for an awful lot of things that go on in the town so that we are recognized throughout the United States. And Kelseyville is the only town in the whole United States. There is no other Kelseyville. So we have that wonderful recognition. I am, as I say, I'm not in favor of changing the name. And if we have a vote, I would like it just to remain with the 95451 zip code so that the people of Kelseyville itself will be able to change it. Also, I recognize that Mr. Simon seems to think that a lot of us are terrible people, and I took a lot of exception to that. I don't feel I'm a terrible person, nor have I ever felt any disregard for any other person, native or otherwise. I would hope that at some point Mr. Simon would be able to reevaluate his thought about the people of Kelseyville who do support him in a wonderful way. He is a supervisor. He's well thought of. He is recognized and regarded. And a lot of other, besides natives, have had to vote for him to give him the opportunity. I thank you very much, and I appreciate you doing this.
Thank you for your comment. I'm going to pause in the chamber and go on over to the Zoom room. Not everybody raised their hands when I asked if you wanted a comment, but we're going to get to you. And I also didn't realize the time. I thought it was 12 something. It's 11:40. So let's go ahead and move on to the Zoom room and go with Nora.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I would like to, I'm Nora Moore. I'm a Black female business owner in Lake County. I've been here since the Valley Fire, in which I saw the most amazing community come together to help each other through one of the most devastating things I've ever experienced personally in my life. And I can feel the pain. I want to apologize, even though it's not my place, to the Native people who have spoken here today and how disregarded they have been with every other comment that is opposing the change and demanding a vote in terms of the fact that we are looking at the genocide of a people, and that throwing it in their face that they do not have the numbers to support this is horrifying. So as a person of color in this county, listening to this and the disregard that's going on, my heart is aching for my children, for the Native population here. You are not listening to them. 5 tribes have written to the BGN because they could not get you as a people to do it, and that is harmful to them currently. It is hurtful to the people of color in our county and the supporters who have seen this as a painful past that should not any longer be glorified. Yes, we can admit that the people of current Kelseyville are wonderful people and may have a 100-year-old past, but this is a people who have been here for over 14,000 years and are having to listen to you laud your 100-year-old past over their pain, past and current, while you do not listen and you talk about there being a bargain. What else do you need from the Native population other than their people and their voice, and you're not even listening to that? So I would hope that the Board of Supervisors would make the recommendation, but I think the elephant in the room is they know how their constituents would vote, and they are releasing the responsibility to put forth that opinion, hoping that they remain voted in the next session, because they are fully aware of what we're dealing with this in county and the pockets of racism that have been going on. I myself—
And your time is up. If you can please finish your comment.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Next is Luya.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. My name is Luya Rivera, and I'm speaking as a tribal citizen of Middletown Rancheria. I have children that are descendants of Lake Miwok of Middletown and Robinson Rancheria Pomo. And I speak with them in mind, as well as the sacrifices of our ancestors. I support that the Board of Supervisors should meet and send the recommendation opinion to the BGN as necessary. This Board of Supervisors is currently very diverse, and it needs to act on this issue. I do support the name to be changed from Kelseyville to Konocti. If a vote must be taken, then take it to all of Lake County, because the name Kelseyville does affect generations of Indigenous people. It is time to change this mistake that was made to honor the name Kelsey by upholding that name. I oppose the advisory vote. I support the Board of Supervisors to make a recommendation, and if it has to go to a vote, allow all of Lake County to vote. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Next is Katie Ray.
Nashong, Shakea, Katie Ray, Shogosha, Nomalaki is Keta, Wailaki is Keta, Wintun is Keta. Good morning. My name is Katie Ray. I'm an enrolled member of Brown Valley Indian Tribes, and I'm a descendant of Kashil Dihi Band of Wintun Indians. I'm married into the Scotts Valley Band of Pomo Indians, and my children are enrolled there. I live and work in Lake County. I work with the children in Kelseyville School District. I'm a coach there. I have a Native American club there. I live in Kelseyville, Riviera. I'm extremely disappointed and frustrated that this has come before us this morning as a way to not fulfill your obligation as a board to make this decision for us. That's why you're voted into these positions. So putting it on us to further divide our communities at this point is extremely disheartening to me. We need to really figure out how to come together as a community, and having something like this to where you can see the divide. I have to go into stores and I'm looked at differently at this point. My husband is glared at every time he walks into a store in Kelseyville where we reside. And it's not okay. If we have to have a vote, it should be countywide, because we have membership in all areas of the county that are from Kelseyville who may not live there any longer. These tribal communities who have been here for over 14,000 years need to have a say in this, because it's not just one concentrated population and area of tribal people who have been affected by this, by Kelsey, by Stone, and by anyone else who have had any atrocities against them. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. We have one more hand in Zoom, so I'm going to finish up. Yeah, one more hand. Let's do Caitlin Breedlove. And then we'll come back to the chamber.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Breedlove. I'm a Kelseyville resident and I have a child that attends school in the Kelseyville School District. I speak on behalf of her and our family. After listening to everyone speak and after reading comments on social media regarding the name change, the one thing I've noticed is we haven't moved forward as people. Not only are the voices of our Indigenous people continuing to be silenced, but the blatant racism shown against them shows me we've learned nothing. And if you don't want to be called racist, maybe don't be racist and call out the ones that are. I believe ultimately it is your jobs as our supervisor to share your opinion with the BGN, but if a vote was to be made, it should be countywide. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Let's go ahead and come back to the chamber.
Thank you. My name's Tammy Myers, and I was born in Lakeport 65 years ago, and I've had family that's been here for a long time. And I'm not a racist. I've been labeled that because I belong to the Save Kelseyville group. I worked as a nurse for 42 years. I took care of everyone equally and with respect. I don't want the name of our town to change. Imagine if someone decided that our county name should be changed. Would we want all the surrounding counties to have a vote? And with all due respect to each one of you, it's such a frustrating situation because none of you on a personal level will have to deal with any of the changes because none of you live in Kelseyville. This proposal involves one town, Kelseyville, and the vote should stay in Kelseyville. Just my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. I believe we have another person in the room. If I don't see anybody coming up to the mic, I have no further hands up in the Zoom room.
I'm invisible. I get 5 minutes. No.
2 minutes, please.
Good morning. It's still morning. My name is Frances Ford. I live in that village, 95451 Love. That's what I call it. Only so I can keep my feet on the ground. We named all the names that it had been, maybe on paper, but the people who lived here before us called it Abenipo. And I think I want to quote a man that's here in here today, is that, how would you like it to think that all those people that were killed during the Kelseyville time, that our grandmothers aren't even here? They had no way to speak. They had no way to be here. So I don't think a vote is important. I think you're important, that you can make this decision without a vote, because that's why we're here. You're wanting to hear what we have to say and how we say it. And the BGN's going to make a decision anyway, whether you decide something or not. I worked with an elder. Actually, I fed her. Her name was Liz, and she lived out on Big Valley, and she told me stories. She said she did not go to Kelseyville, and she wouldn't say why. She was an elder. She lived in a little pink house with her sister out there on the point. I think my point is that to uphold something that's just history of a man ought to be changed. And I think you have the courage to change it, and you have the right to change it. So thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Are there any further comments either in the chamber or Zoom? Please.
Hi, my name is Carol Costa. I live in Kelseyville, 95451.
If you can get to the microphone, please.
I'd like
Thank
to request that each board member provide a written response and their opinion. I didn't really have that opinion before today, but I have it today after sitting here and listening to everybody. I also am pro name change. I also take exception with your reference, Mr. Simon, about calling us racist. I don't think it helps the community to be, everyone just to be called racist. If there is a vote, I'd like to see that vote be 95451 only. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comment. So this is going to be my last call. Please come to the microphone or raise your hand in Zoom, please. I want to hear you guys, but I also want to not keep waiting for people to get up.
Good morning. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for everyone that's here. Support everyone having their voice heard, especially in this land. My name is Benaiah Kim Cromwell. I'm the current chairman of Robinson Rancheria on my mother's side, and on my father's side, I represent Big Valley, where his grandmother was raised. And she was taken to a boarding school, and so we never got to meet her. But that whole side is, I do live in the Riviera, so I do know the zip code. And every day I drive to work to Robinson Rancheria in Nice, and I pass it's kind of emotional, sorry, Benapati. So I pass the island every day. So where I live and I pass the island, there's nobody that may have a more emotional commute every single day. And when I have to fill out applications, when I have to fill out things online, when I have to represent where I'm from, it hurts. It still hurts to this day, personally. But as a tribal leader, we do have a lot of descendants of survivors. There's not a lot of survivors, but we have the descendants of the survivors that should have an opportunity if this does go to a vote, because they live all around the lake. But I do wish that the supervisor board here can make that determination so it doesn't have to go to a vote. But if it does, I want it to be countywide. And I just want to represent my people the best I can and thank all of our elders that are here today, all of those who had the medicine to come here today, because it's not easy. Not easy standing here and sharing your heart and touching that place that your ancestors are watching you and they're listening to you and their energy is beneath us. So thank you for this opportunity. Oh.
Thank you for your comment. Are there any other comments from the public? Please.
I'm going to do my best. My name's Helen Finch. I've been in the community for 25 years. I'm as invested, I believe, as the body could be. And I am hurt, Mr. Simon, by the fact that you equate our wish not to change our name with the notion or with our feelings about Indigenous people. In my mind, anyway, I'm concerned and I feel like much of the generational trauma that challenges a lot of our individuals or our Indigenous people is driven by their choice to keep the past alive, and in too many cases to teach their children that they are the victims of those around them, when in fact it was evolution at work, moving white men forward then, as it continues to be now. It won't be long till we're all heading for Mars, because that's how evolution works. All things that live grow. They must go somewhere. Supervisors Moak and Crandall have been a perfect example of the possibility that anyone who wishes to prosper and grow in our community to do so. They chose to educate and embrace the challenges around them, and they have excelled. This same possibility is there for all who choose to look forward instead of back. Changing the name, I don't believe, will erase the scar that evolution has left. I've not known a place where growth and the ability to prosper has been more embraced and welcome than I have found in the 25 years that I've been in Kelseyville. So I'm just not believing that the name change will serve anyone to the degree that you're hoping for. Thank you.
Are there any further comments? Okay, I'm going to close public comment. There are no hands in Zoom. No one is raising their hand or getting up in the chamber. We can speak outside of this meeting or during our break, but everybody's had their 2 minutes. I don't want to start reiterating and putting people back on the microphone, or else I have to reopen everything. So let's bring it back to the board. Does the board wish to take a lunch break and come back for deliberation, or deliberate?
If it's okay with everyone, I just want to say a couple things and we can come back and deliberate later, but.
Please, make your statement and we'll figure out what we do after that.
And so I appreciate that everyone has come here today, made themselves vulnerable, that we have had the opportunity to hear from so many people, including the leadership of many of our tribes. And so I thank all of you for also coming and giving your voice to this. And I hope everyone really feels like they've been heard, because that was the intent. And for the board, I just, I bring these as options. And one thing that I did not bring up earlier, and I apologize for it, is that with these options, if we move forward with an advisory vote, we can bring this back and we can still have another discussion and we can figure out what to do with that data, and or still give a recommendation after that is taken. So there are all of these options that are still before us. This vote does not have to replace a recommendation from this board. So I just wanted to put that out there.
All right. Thank you very much. Supervisor Simon, you had your pen up?
Yeah, well, then I just got to respond to that last comment.
Okay.
Then why was it brought this way? Why wasn't it just brought for us to make a decision? This is the item that you brought in front of us. You truly felt that we could make this decision. That's what you should have brought to us. I was hoping that's what was going to be on this agenda item. You know, I respect you as a supervisor. We always work together. But that comment really confuses me because anyone in this room knows I'm ready to make a decision. You know my thoughts on it. You know what I mean? I've made them very clear at the beginning of this meeting. So that last comment confuses me on your last statement about, oh, this is what I brought, and if we decide to go countywide, but we can make a decision, then that's what should have been brought on this item today. So just a little confused on that one. I want to get it done. I want to make the decision before we go on a break today. I don't want to take a break. I want to go right into this conversation while we have the people in the room and we do this. Like I said, I'm always straightforward in these types of things. So that's my thought. No break. Just go right into it. Let's get this done. We'll have it again. One other comment, and I appreciated the question. I think it was the gentleman on the end in the blue. You got up and you made a comment right here. I forget your name. Yeah, the guy on the, yeah, right there. What's your name? Yeah. Myron Holdenreach. So you asked a question as you walked away. Would the name change help start with the healing? Yes. I never speak for all 7 nations. I will never do this as a leader except for right now because I was asked that question. This name change happens, it will start the healing, whether you believe it or not, for the indigenous people in this community. It's a pure yes to that question. Okay? I just wanted to answer it. You asked it, I wanted to give you my answer. And I know I don't do this invoking it as a leader for the 7 nations, but if I'm wrong, I will be approached by the people. So yes, this name change would start the process. And it's going to be a long one, but it would absolutely start that healing that needs to happen for the indigenous 7 nations in this county. Now, beyond all that, there's other political ramifications, everything that has to happen. But I wanted to answer that question for you. The other thing is, yes, racist is a powerful word. I do not like using the word. I do it in very, very small instances. We'll talk about a personal thing that just happened recently because some people get to walk through the world and don't experience what we experience of indigenous people. So about 4 years ago, I owned a business in Middletown, Mount St. Helena Brewery. Some of you have maybe gone there or not. We closed it the first year that there was Indigenous Peoples Day mixed with Columbus Day, that when it first started. And I had this conversation with you, Jim. You know, so we close it, and what do I get to the next day I get back? There's a posted note on the door that all Indigenous people should die. It's Columbus Day, and we should be given blankets and killed with pox, and we're nothing. This just happened 4 years ago, and I talked to you about this when we were running for that ballot measure, which I was standing up for the community to get what we need. It happened right in the middle of our town. So it happens every day. Some of the words I use today, you guys will get to leave this building and might have a hurt feeling. The safety of my goddamn life and my family's could be attacked after the comments I made. So when I make a comments, I carry it with a lot more weight than people get to do leaving this room. I probably got racist stuff going right now towards my family, my tribe, as we sit in this room. Some horrible stuff. So I carry this stuff. I don't just say it lightly. This is a reality for us. Our life is always less. So I have it. I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope I can change minds. But I'm hoping if we go countywide, I can be proven wrong. And I'll be the first one to stand up and say I was wrong after the November vote if it happens and the names is changed. That's all I have to say today.
Thank you for your comment. Supervisor Green.
Thank you for those comments. And I agree. I was surprised and disappointed that an alternative to today's agenda item couldn't have been a draft letter to BGN expressing a range of opinions. That'd be something. And so, if that's the course this board decides to go, we're going to have to come back at another meeting and talk about a draft letter and probably have another fine meeting like this to gather input about it. But I think this hearing, I think the emails, I think I've been doing outreach, and I imagine most of you have too. There's no shortage of information to this board. I think we have a good finger on the pulse of the community and communities. As to whether we should break or start deliberation now, I do want to be very responsive to the idea that any regional election, including anything that uses 9451 or 95451 or KUSD, is fatally flawed. And I'm prepared to introduce some documentation on that includes voter registration figures and all that. I don't think it is necessarily going to be interesting enough to reopen public comment, but as soon as I start going down that road, I'm going to distribute some materials to the board. At that time, they will become public record, and I think having a lunch break would do two things. One, there's a lot been said here today, and this is for some of the drama and all that. There's also a rare opportunity here for reflection and to receive and absorb some of the information that you've heard here. And I think this board would benefit from having some time for reflection too. But that said, if the rest of the board wants to plow into the deliberations, I will absolutely insist on a side discussion about the wisdom of the KUSD option.
And I would suggest that if we have a consensus to move forward with Part A, then at that point in time, let's discuss how we handle that. But I think if there is a consensus not to move forward with the ballot measure, then at that point, there's no need for that.
Yes, sir.
I'm fine with that.
So I do want to say thank you to everybody, whether on Zoom or especially in person. I'll just say there is some added characteristics of being in person and giving expressing yourselves. Thank you for your courage. This is, I think we need to learn how we speak. I think that there are some misunderstandings of how we believe we understand others, and I think we should be asking a whole lot more questions than making statements. There were some comments that were difficult, and there were some comments that were, in my opinion, a little hurtful. But I do appreciate the fact that we got through this. I feel there was more respect than there was disrespect. I thank my colleagues for helping me out with that too. There's a part of me that truly believes in what the meaning and purpose of our Constitution, and especially our Bill of Rights, is all about. If it was solely to protect the majority, I don't even know that the Bill of Rights was absolutely 100% necessary. It's to protect that minority voice, to ensure that no matter how niche of a voice you might have, that you have the right to be heard, that you have the right to express yourself, that you have the right to your freedoms and your liberties. And if this was a majority vote, then we wouldn't be here having this discussion. It would already be changed. The request that was brought to BGN does not equate to the idea of a majority vote. It was a minority voice that utilized a system that was set up for that minority voice to be heard. Now, that doesn't mean it has to be a yes or it has to be a no, but asking for a majority vote goes against what this entire process is even about. I will say the process has some flaws. However, how do we make sure people's voices are heard? How do we understand why they're expressing that voice? I also want people to listen. I get it. You have passion, you have investment, you have stake, you have a connection to your community, and your community has been called Kelseyville for a long time. That hurt that you have that somebody might change that name is the exact same hurt that our indigenous people have been enduring for hundreds of years. because their names were taken away, their culture was taken away. So I need you to understand that you have more in common than you don't. You're trying to protect something, and everyone's trying to have equal access to what they believe is right. And so I want us to be able to respond to the BGN. I think that is the best way to move forward. I know it was mentioned that I mentioned cost. I think it's a waste because I think we should be talking about the response to the BGN response, not going through a process where, by the way, thank you for voting, but we might not vote with you when we go to the BGN. And by the way, the BGN might not vote with us. And we have to look at history. There are times where the majority wants something and it's the wrong thing. And so we have to be able to listen to all voices. This happened recently with Prop 8. Prop 8 was voted so that it would ban gay marriage. It was overturned by the Supreme Court because it was the wrong thing to do. So this process is not asking for the right thing to do for the question that we received from the BGN. It was mentioned we received it in 23. We received it, I think, late February 2024. I think we need to come back. That would be my direction. Come back, have another meeting, talk about our response to the BGN, and instead of us asking you to respond, where all of a sudden you guys might be fighting each other out there because of your disagreements, be mad at us. Don't be mad at each other. We should take that responsibility. It's not easy, but that is our responsibility, and that's why we're here. And so I think we need to move forward and bring this back for a BGN response.
So we're going now? We're not taking a lunch, right?
Let's keep going, yes.
Okay. You want to go first or me?
Go ahead.
All right, so
Wait, we're just talking about A first, right?
what
do
you mean?
At this moment, it's all of the above, but at this moment, that's, yes. And we did have some questions that I think we probably do want to respond to, but Vice Chair, please, carry on.
I thought you said that we were going to do A and B, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, all right, so let me pull up this real quick. All right, so I'm going to make probably I wrote some things down, so I'm going to be a little bit, and I please ask to hear me out before we start making interruptions or comments, and I understand it's emotional for everyone. I do, in every aspect. So hear me out, and then scold me either way in the end. I moved to Lake County in 1988 to come home to where I never knew I was from, as it was not taught to me. Termination and relocation brought my family down to San Jose. And growing up in San Jose, my stepdad, my uncle, and my family served in the Army and the Marines. And many of my family members were also service members. I grew up watching movies like Rambo, Uncommon Valor, Platoon, and also myself had a bias against the Vietnamese and people from the Middle East because of all of those movies and the dynamic back then. That was my upbringing. Assimilation was working at its best. When I moved home, I heard the stories. I heard the stories by my family, my uncles, my aunts, everybody. And I didn't listen because I felt accepted as an assimilated Native American. In my Army experience, I served for 6 years. I was in Fort Lewis, Washington, Fort Campbell, and in Korea. Each time I talked about being Native American, I was told I was conquered. A sergeant brought his kid in and pretended to shoot me and said, "Hey, I'm just teaching him how to deal with Indians." I was called different names. I was told my people were drunks. I was treated at times beneath others. However, I was okay as a person because I was able to take those jokes. I knew if I acted on those jokes, I could be dealt with by my leadership. As time went on, I kept dealing with it. And then when I started going into the change of command ceremonies, I heard the statements of battles with the Native Americans, battles that was won by the United States Cavalry and Army. I then knew the wording was left by the people who won and conquered, and the other side of the facts were not told. When I was queried as to how I feel and what I would like to see, obviously my ancestors were and still are affected by the atrocities that took place on May 15, 1850. So yes, this is personal to me, and I know it is personal to all of you either way. If I was to make a decision, not only would I be considered a person, and this is a decision for a change, I would be considered a person pushing forward only Native American agenda, as was stated before, in situations when making hard decisions about other things. Anything different could potentially deem me as a sellout or a traitor in other aspects, right? I wanted to say, too, there's a reason why natives don't live in the area known as Kelseyville. The 1851 treaty was not honored, and that is where they were going to be placed on a reservation at that time, along with other things that were discussed in that treaty. A Board of Supervisors vote happened in the late 1800s without Native input or consideration as to the Native population, as we were not considered people, like mentioned before, and we were conquered. In my humble opinion, this would be the same thing if we allowed only a Kelseyville vote. If I make that choice, as my great-great-grandmother survived the Bloody Island Massacre, which was considered a battle at one time, I think you have an idea where I might possibly stand. From what I've received in feedback, my constituency in my district would be more inclined to changing that name, so a vote to change the name would identify the reflection of my constituency. But then I would be told I'm not representing the whole county, which is also an argument in contradiction today as well. Many of the constituency that wouldn't agree with me with this vote I could potentially make would be more than likely not supportive of me anymore or respected. If we take measures to vote as a board, we open the door for a continuous change that will never end as soon as another body is seated up here. As although many claim this was not political, it would then become political more so than a county advisory vote for the county, and it will change continuously, dividing us further, and vice versa. It's going to continue. When I attended a Citizens for Healing, I almost said CC4C, Citizens for Healing meeting in Upper Lake, as my elders attended, which is the only reason why I went to that meeting, because I was approached before and I would not talk about it. I gave the example of the disenrollment that took place with my tribe, and how if the council during that time made a vote solely, a new council could make that opposite choice to no avail. The vote of the people of the tribe allowed the leadership to stand on that. One thing I cannot stand is the fact that we in this country, as leaders, as elected bodies, and as people in general everywhere, we stack the chips to win at any cost. My ancestors took into consideration all aspects of the voices at hand. I think, again, that either decision that is made is going to be political. And I know that it's going to be a situation that will go far in history as a monument. If I were to make a decision today, I think you know where I would stand as a name change. However, I am supportive of a county vote more so than anything.
Thank you very much. So before moving on, just by checking, doing a quick straw poll about moving forward with a ballot measure, who would be in favor of that on this board?
Are you gonna let him?
Oh, so sorry, I'm looking right at you and I didn't realize your pen was up.
I'll let you take your straw poll. I'll let you take your straw poll.
Okay, so just checking in, who would say yes to moving forward with an election, not specifics of the election, just an election?
A question.
Yeah.
I started off today with my statement.
Yes.
So it hasn't changed.
And so I see a 2 and 3 with 3 against the advisory ballot measure. So at this point, Part B is an unnecessary part of the conversation for this board, since there is consensus to not move forward with a ballot measure. Supervisor Green.
And to that point, if we don't get there, If we don't get there, there may be some questions, and I can talk with people afterwards, why I believe a regional election would be fatally flawed. And what?
Let me just clarify. So there's 3 not to move forward with an advisory vote.
Yes.
Obviously.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm willing to move forward with the advisory vote countywide. And I thought that was the question you were asking.
Oh, the first one is the advisory vote, and the second part is county or KVUSD.
Yeah.
County vote.
It's a yes.
Then let
So
me.
yes to moving
Yes to
forward.
the advisory vote and yes to countywide.
Okay.
I understand. I thought I was pretty clear about that in the beginning. I wasn't.
A lot's happened.
I thought you wanted to respond to the US BGA.
No.
Okay.
That's not the agenda item on here today. So I'm addressing the agenda item on here today. I don't want to drag it out, want to go anywhere else. You guys want to bring it back, fine, but the item that was in front of me today was to take a vote. Mine is to take the vote and be countywide.
Okay, so we have 3 that want to move forward with the election, and obviously we have 1 currently for the county. I would say just to, unless you feel the need to deliberate, either a motion to move forward with a county or a KVUSD, since those are the choices there. We could obviously look at a third choice, which I think would be very difficult in the sense that we don't have much time, and those are the 2 resolutions that are provided. August 9th at this moment is the deadline. It could be extended due to incumbents not putting in their registration, and so it could be, I believe, August 14th.
This is Maria.
Please.
Sorry. So August 9th is the last day to request an election for a measure. The other dates are for candidate filing.
Okay, I appreciate the clarification. Thank you very much. Supervisor
I know
Pyska.
that Supervisor Green's pen is up, but we have Maria, and there are questions that there would be clarity on needed for what happens if a vote goes forward. And so as long as we're all in the same room, if she could walk us through what that looks like. I don't know when, but she's here, and so I want to make that available.
Ms. Valadez, are you ready to let us know what the process would be as we move forward? Or would you prefer to come back and give us a presentation of what that process looks like?
If the board decides to move forward with an election, I will request an impartial analysis from County Council, and then I've already advertised for arguments in favor and against the proposition, which are posted on our county website. And then after that, we go into printing our booklets and our ballots, like around September, they start getting finalized. I can give you the deadlines for the rebuttals or the arguments in favor and against if you wish to have that. As far as campaign goes, that's something that the individual or the committees would need to reach out to the Fair Political Practices Commission to get information. We could provide starter information at our office, but any questions pertaining to campaigning would need to go to the FPPC.
Okay, Supervisor Green? Thank you very much, Ms. Valadez.
Thank you, Maria. Is it true you've already received filings for a ballot measure campaign from Save Kelseyville? I have a copy in front of me, date stamped May 28th, at least 2 months ago, indicating that Save Kelseyville was ramping up for some type of campaign. They apparently passed the fundraising threshold in April. So to the question of if we're going to have an election, one question I have, is it going to be a fair election, or did somebody get a head start on the idea that we're going to have a ballot issue and you guys need to raise money and do that? I don't need an answer for that right now, but I just think that's patently unfair. To the question of whether we should have an election at all, to the question of whether we should have an election at all, I just want to highlight, we're not racist and all that. One of the privileges that comes with being a county supervisor is being exposed to a lot of communities and a lot of people and a lot of ideas that don't necessarily come in a normal civilian orbit. I don't think I'm a racist either, but through my work on the Community Visioning Forum, through working with my colleagues here, and having some ability to reflect on my own life, actions speak louder than words, and my intent, whether I offended somebody or not, is really irrelevant to the fact of whether something is offensive. Actions do speak louder than words. If we're going to talk, and if there is consensus to an election, it's going to come down to who has the right to vote on this. And there may be consensus to go countywide, in which case the regional election breakdown is irrelevant. But if we were to stick to the Kelseyville Unified School District boundaries, that would be 15 voting precincts. And more than 60% of the voters would be in Clear Lake Riviera or Cobb. If you take a look at, they aren't geopolitical boundaries, but this really comes down to what is the town of Kelseyville? And we don't have a town. They never bothered to incorporate. I don't know why we're asserting our right to determine the name, because the town never stood up and asserted that right. So we're left with the idea of a town. And it's either the census designated place, that little thing in the middle of the town center, or the community growth boundary as it's expressed in our general plan documents, or it's the larger region. And what I've heard advocated here is it should be either 95451 or KUSD. And so there's two injustices here. One is, even in a countywide vote, if you are to think about the justice of this, Kelsey, Stone, and a whole list of undocumented grievances since then. Our Native Americans were decimated. And in that decimation, in that destruction, hundreds, thousands of future Native American voters were robbed of their ability to have a voice. Even a county-wide ballot measure is going to get, what, 1 or 2% Native population. If you stick with the Kelseyville area, and you look up the census designated place and you look at the racial breakdown, you ain't going to find any Native Americans in there. You're going to see white Europeans in Kelseyville proper. And if you widen it out to what's called the Kelseyville County Census Division, which roughly is analogous to the Big Valley area, the demographics get better, but it wouldn't even include Big Valley, Rancheria, right? So I was trying to slice and dice precincts that would shrink the footprint of Kelseyville. So if you guys really, really want to stick to your name, stick it to the town proper and stop this mission creep that everybody in Clear Lake Riviera is suddenly a Kelseyville resident. If the only inconvenience is you're going to have an address change on your mail. I'm sorry.
Supervisor Green, just because I feel like consensus is aiming towards county, just wondering if we can move on past that unless the consensus shows different, as far as the explanation and reasons that there are faults within the idea.
Okay. The major fault is American Indians were decimated with help from Kelsey, Stone, and a whole bunch of people that followed after that. They robbed the Native American population of their ability to meaningfully participate in what we're proposing today. And so whether it's countywide or local, it's an injustice. It's a facade. It would give a false air of legitimacy to this election to have it act as some type of advice to this board. I will withhold my further comments about the regional election pending the discussion on the countywide election. But even the countywide election is messed up.
I have Vice Chair Crandall, but also CAO Parker. Okay, I just wanted to check in. CAO Parker.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to make sure that the board understands, should they not wish to move forward with the advisory election, which then would make number B a moot point, you also can give us direction to come back on the 6th with a draft of what you'd like to see on the recommendation from the BGN. They have sent a form to fill out.
And I appreciate that, but at this moment in time, we seem to have consensus to move forward with the election.
Make sure that everyone knew they had all the options in front of them and understood that.
Thank you. Vice Chair Crandall.
Yeah, actually, I was going to ask that question. If we wouldn't move forward today, would we be coming back anyhow? It wouldn't be a decision made for today. And I think that's what Moak said earlier, is that since we're talking about it right now, that's what we're voting on. or deciding. You mentioned a couple of things, Supervisor Green, and I appreciate a lot of what you're saying. I really do. I know that there's talk about Clear Lake being the only ones to vote during that time. They were voting for incorporation. So they had that right to vote that specific way. This area is not incorporated, and if it was incorporated, we wouldn't be having this discussion right now. It's in an unincorporated area, hence that's why we're talking about it, and that's why I feel, again, we should have a county vote. Again, if we were to decide at the next meeting with voting to change the name, I feel in the next year, 2, maybe 3, we'll be at this table again because it'll be a different composition of this board. Personally, I would like to make that choice. However, I really feel that this advisory vote is the way to go because of that.
Thank you for your comment. I am going to make one last comment and then ask for a motion. I think if we do a vote, I think we're making a mistake. I think we need to take the burden of the request from the BGN and bring this back. But at this point in time, seems to be in the minority of how we're moving forward. So I would like to entertain a motion.
So I'm county council here because I'm going to make a motion, obviously, to move forward with the advisory election and countywide. Is that simple, or does it need to be more specific?
You are in fact adopting a resolution, so you would identify which resolution you are adopting.
Offer resolution A then, correct?
Which covers the county.
Which covers the county. And I will, I apologize for derailing you for a second,
Please.
but there was a question from Supervisor Green early on about whether or not the cities were covered by a countywide election. And since you seem to be offering a countywide resolution, I thought I'd answer that now.
Thank you.
There is Elections Code 9603, which deals with advisory elections. It does allow for advisory elections to expand beyond the county's jurisdiction, which would be into the cities, provided that the three elements that are listed are met, and I do think that those elements are met here. It's 1, a regular election or special election is to be held in that territory, and that is true coming up. 2, the advisory election can be consolidated with it, which the elections official says that it can be. And the Board of Supervisors of the county in which the outside territory is located approves the consolidation. And I think you have that. So I think all 3 are met. If you wanted to add a whereas to that resolution that says that you find that those three elements in that code section have been met, I can offer some language for that. It would read, whereas the Board of Supervisors finds that the conditions of California Elections Code section 9603 D 1 through 3 for a countywide advisory vote are met. And that would be added to the whereas section for the resolution for a countywide election.
And a quick clarification, no changes means just unincorporated as it stands.
I'm sorry?
No changes to the resolution means unincorporated only. With the changes, it means everybody plus the cities.
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify.
Are you ready? And I'd like to offer the resolution as amended by county council.
Supervisor Simon?
Yes.
Supervisor Crandall?
Yes.
Supervisor Green?
No.
Supervisor Pyska?
Yes.
And Supervisor Sabatier?
Nay. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. That is our only item that we have for today, and really appreciate everybody's comments. And we'll talk after the fact, but this meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.